Hello, ladies. Welcome to 107.5.
Perfect. FXM. But no, honestly, man, Mike,
talk to me, baby.
Thank you for having us here. Like, I feel like the whole team was shocked when they walked in here. They're like, they're like, whoa. Like,
Hold up. Look at this.
Yeah, look at these
That's
lights,
what I
man.
mean.
Do they like this? Looks sick.
Welcome to Accelerate Headquarters.
Accelerate.
Headquarters. Yeah.
I guess
trying to
like-
get all the subs we can get. You know?
Wait, I guess let's start there. What is 88?
So it was supposed to be a supercar dealership. That was my plan. So I used to work in the car business. I sold cars for like 16 years, and I had this great idea that London did not have any supercar dealerships. So I was gonna basically get a whole bunch of supercars, grab all the money I could get, and build and buy a whole bunch of land. This was like 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then what happened was I realized I have to deal with people, and I was like, yo, fuck that. Can I swear on this shit?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Do whatever you
I
want.
can relax. I cuss all the time. But yeah, I just realized I could do with people, and I was like, man, I don't want to deal with anybody whatsoever. What I want to do is just do shit on the internet. And that's because we're all like, man, the customers are all over the world, not just your little ass hometown with like a storefront commercial shop trying to sell something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what actually happened, the real story of why like the YouTube channel started was because so I used to sell a bunch of Audis, and Q5 is the most popular Audi. Everybody knows what Q5 is?
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
straightforward SUV. So anyways, I used to sell cars to customers. They used to be like, yo, all management was like, look, you got to go over the car very, very in depth. And I was like, okay, but I sold 14 last month, and I'm about to sell 15 this month based on all the stuff that was happening. So imagine doing like 15 to 20 deliveries per month of just a Q5 and going over the same shit over and over and over.
Repetitive.
Like, man, how repetitive, boring, life sucks. You don't want to do that shit. So then what I did was I just basically just got a bunch
You
of
became an
GoPros.
expert.
Yeah, but I did a walk around of the car and I threw it on YouTube. So now I would just send that link to the customer that's buying the car. They watched it at home in front of their, in front of their kids because they're like, look, we bought a new car. But instead of going to the dealership because the kids couldn't always make it, they were like, yo, this is sick. And they did watch me do the walk around. So then when they showed up, guess how long the delivery took? 10 minutes at the most instead of like 1.5 hours.
Yeah.
So all the bosses were like, yo, this is not right. He's not spending time with the customers. Our CSI, which is like customer service bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not going to be high with him, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't matter. I was still the highest because it's personable, right?
Yeah,
You're doing something different, and obviously the
So
world's
you were the
changing.
only one who was showing YouTube content.
Exactly.
Did anyone try to bite that style or like try to adapt to it, or were they really rebellious?
Well, I mean, like, man, certain businesses are old dogs, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they just run a certain way, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just they've made money, it's worked. Why should they try new things? And people are generally lazy. Once they get a routine, they're lazy. They don't want to change. So what happened with that was, so I posted a bunch of stuff that was more specific to the Q5s were just for the customers, but for me was like, hey, let's take this brand new Audi A6 and let's do a walk around video. So I put it on the internet, actually did pretty well. So I shot like 8 videos by myself, just me, my camera, tripod, whatever. Shot it, and then it went up, and it did like okay. So some of the stuff got between like 1,000 and 4,000 views. Again, we're talking cars, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cars
That's
are,
okay,
That's still good though.
it is good. Yeah, it was decent.
Yeah.
It was decent. And then, but I looked at the impressions. So how many times somebody saw your stuff on the right side but didn't necessarily click it? Okay.
Yeah.
So I had the channel. It wasn't even really a channel. It was just a thing I put up and didn't really care about.
Like a hobby?
Like a kind of a hobby, but also, man, like, look, as humans, we're not confident in the first thing we do. We do it, we touch it, we're not that good, right? But we do it for a long time. You get better, more confident. And then you feel like you're professional. You get people hit you on the pat you on the back, say you're great, whatever. But Audi launched the new A6. It was like a big deal for Audi.
Yeah.
And then so we went to this meeting, and the bosses are like, Audi's spending huge money, on like online marketing to market the new A6. And I'm like, okay, dope. And they're like, you guys got to focus on the A6, call your customers, tell them the brand new A6 is here, all this BS, basically. Yeah. I looked at metrics on how much big money Audi was spending, and I had 6 million impressions.
Jeez.
And I'm like, wow, that's a big number. Until I went to my channel, and I realized I got 1 million impressions. And I'm like, dude, I have 8 videos talking about Audis, and some of those walk around things I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I had 1 million impressions. And here Audi's doing this big powwow where we're sitting in like a $12 million building talking about 6 million impressions.
Yeah.
Can I tell you how many impressions I get today?
Yeah.
Let's see
Of
it.
course.
We won't talk too deep into metrics just yet.
No,
but
but
I just want
YouTube
We
has
want
been-
numbers though.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
want
yeah.
to see
I
the
will
details.
get it
We want-
topping.
Okay, so let's we can like home run this thing like right off the
Let's
bat.
do it, 'cause, like,
Yeah.
even too, it's like for us, because we're kind of YouTubers at this point, right? Obviously,
100%.
like our show goes on YouTube, so now our analytics come off that. So like,
100%.
For us,
Let's see what the pros have to say.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
exactly,
I will
right?
tell you that
The real numbers.
I will tell you that on my phone, analytics doesn't even show because the number is honestly just too big. I would probably say if I had to go on a computer and look, it'd probably be close to like 40 million
40
right now per
million.
month. Yeah, per month.
per month.
40 million per month watching your YouTube.
Yeah, well, you got like, no. That's impressions. Basically,
Impressions.
somebody sees your stuff on the right
Yeah.
side but doesn't click it. Okay, then there's views. So in the last, the way I like to look at it is not always on a monthly basis because you can have something that pops up but nobody really is interested in it. They just like the YouTube algorithm hits it up, and then it's like it goes away and never comes back. So the way our channel is designed, by the way, the channel is me and my partner Ian. So he does all the filming. He makes me look really, really sexy. And me, I just study. I get the cars, and then we put the cars. I put the cars out there. I study. I do the craziness around the car, and then he takes me, makes me look really sexy, like Brandon does, or is going to do. Right? You know. Anyways, he does that, makes it look really cool, and then we post like almost twice a week now. So so it's doing really well. So I'll give you an example. So I try to look at stuff on an hourly basis, because if I look at stuff on a monthly basis, it's all good. But then I have to wonder what people are really watching, like, and where are they watching from. I could have so right now we're getting about 1.3 million views a month, okay, in total the channel. And I can tell you that if there's 1 million views from India, it doesn't mean anything. But if it's 1 million views from the US, which is what it is, that's dope. So that's what we're getting. So for me, I'd rather have 1 million views from the US than 1 million views from India. Yeah. So when people are like, oh yeah, I get like 10 million views a month, and I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? They're like, oh, I make cartoon characters, and they post on the internet. And you look at their stuff, it's all from India. And nothing wrong with India.
Is that because the market is closer and you can actually access it?
Because sometimes I wouldn't say it's bot driven, but sometimes YouTube will just pull that data and realize, hey man, that just doesn't do well in the US. We're going to put it to India. And then as a creator here, you're like, oh, this is amazing. Look, I'm getting a month or a day or whatever. But I'm going to tell you here.
Do you think it's a shaft, though, in a way where they send you
to totally
India?
Get shaft. India makes no money. That's
right,
the
exactly,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you can't actually transfer, like, I guess, your content to, like, revenue is the best way to look at it, right?
Yeah. It's like TikTok, to be honest. I mean, a lot of guys don't make a lot of money on TikTok.
Especially in Canada.
For sure. I mean, you can't make money to live by running TikTok and then running, even if it doesn't matter how much you get, man. If you get even you get 4 million views on one video and then like 100 and then 2 million, you're not making a living. You cannot afford shit. Have you gone to the grocery store lately? You can't afford shit.
Horrible, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we'll get there. Yeah. But so I'm going to tell you what I had. So I just look at, I don't know, for those that don't have it, you just get basically the YouTube app the YouTube Studio on your phone. It's the sickest thing ever because all your metrics are here. But yesterday at 10 p.m. was where we peaked, because every 48 hours you peak, right? So we got it in 1 hour, and so 60 minutes yesterday, I got 3,729 views. So in 1 hour, 3,700 views for me, it's crazy. Like it's at 10 o'clock last night. It's wild. Today's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday?
Yeah. Wednesday, yeah.
So kind of odd day too.
So it's Tuesday. So Tuesday night, 10 p.m., 3,200 views, 30 whatever.
So wait, how long have you been running this channel for?
So the channel originally started in 2018. It was called Audi Sport Mike, because I did Audis, remember at the time?
Yeah.
And then 2020 is when I met Ian, and then we collabed basically together. And then, so June 2020 is, I think, when we launched our first real video in the studio. I think it was like maybe end of 2020.
2020.
So it's been, almost 3 years, if I'm not mistaken.
How many,
2.5, 3 years,
How many subscribers did you guys carry over? Everyone, for the most part? Or?
Yeah, well, when I had the channel, I had like nothing, dude. I was monetized, but it was very poor. I think I had maybe like 3,000. And then 3,000, and then Ian jumped on board, and then I mean, dude, you put good quality content.
It's all about
the
content, with that YouTube stuff, and that it's all about like the picture, the video.
I think it always evolves, right? So like if you asked me 3 years ago, I would have told you like, whatever you did, as long as you did something, works, right? So people are like, doesn't like, so the narrative every day changes, depends on who you watch on your phone, right? Because we're all getting information from our phone. So here's an example. So 3 years ago, I could bring the narrative up and I'd be like, hey man, you just have to post something. It doesn't matter what the fuck it is. You can post anything, dude. It doesn't matter. You can post like a BMW 323i. Like nobody gives a shit about a base BMW, and put a hot chick in front of it and you do well. It didn't matter. Talk about specs. It doesn't matter. You do that today, it's not going to be that good anymore, right? Because that's just died off. So everything has a hype and then like dies off. So you have to kind of watch it, right? So right now, obviously, it's like shorts, obviously TikTok, short form content, or like Mr. B stuff, really, really fast editing, quick, like on the move all the time. So we really mix it up and try to do that. And also, as you guys will grow, you'll realize your identity will change as you get more success, right? So your success in, like, say, talking to me, and let's say talking to me, this channel, this hypothetically does really well. Yeah. So then you want people that are like me on your channel next. Yeah. Like entrepreneurs, grinders, doing all that stuff. Maybe less real estate related, right? As an example. And more like generally related, right? Yeah. So maybe that's who you want. Or maybe this totally shits the bed and real estate's going to kill it. So you're going to know you have to adapt your channel for that.
Yeah. You tailor yourself to who's listening.
Exactly, man. Yeah. But you don't even know who your listeners are, because it's so new. Yeah. How do you know who's watching your stuff and who's not watching your stuff right now? Yeah. You don't know.
How do you retain like your audience in aspect of like, do you talk to your audience, or are you one of those people that just operate like, I put out content, whatever goes out is there?
Yeah, I think the information is very scattered and nobody on the planet knows how YouTube works. There's a few ways you can do it. I mean, like, you have to niche hard for starters. I'm definitely not, like, my Instagram is not niched whatsoever. I do a million things and I show that I do a million things. It's not niched whatsoever. But car channel, obviously it's niched. We do cars and we do new cars. That's the whole key. So if we're focused only on new cars, then you get, the newer the car you get, the better your channel does. You do old cars, well, nobody's that excited unless you have a huge following, you know? But there's this real like disconnect between people's mindset on what subscribers are supposed to be and what viewers are supposed to be. Everybody always asks me like, how many subscribers do you have? So I think like we're like 170. If I tell you right now, we're 177,336.
Just under 180.
Just under 180,000 subs. So that's important to people that want to hear it, or people that want an ego bump, or people that want dopamine to get that hit. Right? Be like how many subs do you have? And I'm like 180,000. They're like, oh my god, that's crazy. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it's like music to my ears. I'm like, shit, I'm the fucking man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I hear that, it's
that's
like
all they aim for.
Yeah, and that's what people want to aspire to, right? But for me, it's not even about that. It's about views. Because at the end of the day, it's your eyeballs that what I'm trying to get, right? Because subscribers don't always watch your shit. They just press the button, but they're not always sitting there to do it. And also the industry's changed today, where back in the day, they were on a computer or a phone and they'd press subscribe. Now they're on a phone, but they're also on an Android TV that they don't have the option to press subscribe because they're not always logged in, or they're just watching it quick. So that's a problem for us YouTubers. We can't just jump on and be like, hey, everybody that watches this is subscribed. Like if I tell you the metrics of, and I bitch about this all the time.
So you're big on retention time at this point, right? Like that's your big metric. That sounds like
yes,
that, like,
yes. I gotta keep your eyes stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you watch anybody on YouTube from a car review perspective, there's probably, I can't even think, maybe there are one or two other guys maybe that are as like hyper and like jumping around and like super fast talking. And
yeah, I love your videos. They're very energetic.
Very energetic, yeah. So for me, it's like energy, man. Energy and passion. Even if I don't feel like it some days, I'm like, yo, put that switch on, baby. And I'm like, go time, you know? And I'm a hyper person to begin with, so it kind of helps. But it's cool because I get comments, and the comments are the best. I'm like, for me, the more negative comments I get, the better I honestly feel.
So you read your comments? You're one of those people?
I read pretty much most of my comments, yeah.
Okay.
And because you know, man, at the end of the day, it's like you got to respect the people that are taking the time to watch you. And I respect the people that take the time to write, whether it be good or bad. So I get a lot of goods, and it's like anything else in the world. You're only going to actually remember people that say bad shit about you, right? So for me, I'm like, yo, the more bad shit I get, the better. Because bad shit just hypes more bad shit, and then the bad shit, it's not even bad shit, but I had some guy sent me a message yesterday, or right on the channel yesterday.
So it's still stuck on you?
No, but I yes and no. So I mean, like, we're totally jumping off topic here, ADHD baby. But I would say that like people will always say like, you know, I'm gonna live my life and not care what other people think. Well, that is humanly impossible. You have to care what other people think because one, you're human, and two, you have to figure out how you get better or how you get, you know, attention in your game. So I'm in the attention game. So as an attention game, of course I give a fuck what people think. If I don't care what they think, then I'll do whatever I want. But I still have to care about what they think, because if they don't think about me anymore, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So they have to care about how you think, right?
In your mind,
Yeah. You can't let it affect your day in terms of how you feel.
Yeah.
So if I feel super happy, I can't let that person's note or whatever affect me, right? Okay. But I laugh because it's just so funny how perspectives are so different with everybody. So I'll get a message that says, "Man, I love your energy. It's amazing." And then the next one's like, "Is this guy like coked out? He's jumping around like he's like another, you know, Mike's voice gets faster and faster on every video." So like that kind of shit. And I'm like, "Yo, this is dope, bro. This is dope." For me, I love it. I love it because one, it's passion. Two, it's energy.
Oh yeah.
And three, man, it's like somebody took the time. So if you took the time, it's worth it for me to like respect back to you, right?
So how did you feel? Because like this for Coca and I, this is the first time we've ever seen that plaque, a YouTube plaque. You know what I mean? And how did you feel when you first received that? And can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah. So obviously, if you to get a plaque, you got 100,000 subscribers. Yeah. That's a big one, right? Now to get 100K is like one goal. And I'm jumping around here because I'm a very jump around kind of guy.
Yeah.
You
got a lot of things going on.
I have to. But so the first one's 100K. So the next one's 1 million. So for me, it's 100K was kind of easy because I'm like, hey, 100K, we want to get there, but it's just a time game. The more time you put in, you know,
So when you got that, you were kind of like, okay, silver medal, or like, what were you thinking?
Well, obviously, like my demographics, people watch my shit on a personal side, don't really care about YouTube. They don't really understand it. They just care about real estate. They care about like grind and hustle and like how many businesses I got, you know, what's going to work, what's not going to work, advice, that kind of stuff. So YouTube's like a whole new world. YouTube is really only, I wouldn't say for kids, but it's really for anybody under 30 for the most part that are really in tune with it, right? You know what I mean? That understand like, oh shit, you can actually get paid. Because anybody I tell like over 40 that like last year I made like the channel made like 170 grand, they'll fucking fall off their chair. That's a lot of money to make off a channel. So there you go. There's a number. 170K.
170K.
Yeah,
that's
off YouTube.
Big
and
number.
it's a side game, right? It's a side game.
2 years we catch up.
Yeah, get it.
2 more years.
2 more years.
But no, man, that's like one angle of like, hey, like that's what I know that what it's gonna take to make. But when I got the 100 plaque, I was like, that's cool. But again, the reason why the plaque wasn't that important to me, besides people coming and seeing it here, is that I don't get judged by subs. I get judged by views. So if you gave me a plaque to say, this fool just passed 50 million views, dope. Or 10 million views, right? So that to me is money. So I'm going to just give you a quick example of views over the lifetime of the channel. So it's been 3 years now.
Yeah, let's see that.
In the lifetime of the channel. And it is, sometimes this app
3
doesn't
years
work.
over the lifetime.
And what foreign metric
it's not working.
like not to compare, but like
I think
to
it was
see
like
where
20,
like
it was like almost 30 million views.
Almost.
Yeah.
So
30
it's 30
million.
million views.
Well, if you think we're like right now, I'm like, if you can go Social Blade, but
Yeah,
if you guys go Social Blade, type it in. If you looked at it, I looked at it like 3 days ago, it was 1.3 million. So 1.3 million per month times that by whatever 12 months. That's
crazy.
14 million times
crazy.
3 years.
What
right?
did
So
you
30
find was like the easiest content to make? So like even too, if it's just supercars, or is it like, or just like talk, like what was your favorite part about making that content?
Like, so if somebody new came up to me like, man, I want to be a YouTuber and I want to, get rich or something. It's so hard to explain. So I'm going to back up. If it's money related, I cannot answer that because again, I don't know how to make money. Sorry.
What was this for you? Was it money related? Like what made you start this passion towards like, yo, let's just crush everything?
Well, man, it's the same thing as like these masterminds I put on, right? Like I have all this data in my brain about cars. So I'm like, I don't want to die with this data. Why die with this data? I'm like, yo, I want to put this data out to people that actually listen to me at this point in time based on what I look like. The problem is that, so I coach some guys and I'm like, look, man, if you want to close a deal, are you the right face to get the money? Are you the guy, you're trying to buy this $12 million building. Are you the guy that seller wants to see? No, you're not. Brandon is. He's white. I ain't gonna lie, right? White Brandon will work totally fine with this seller than you. Yeah. So that's the same thing, right? Yeah. So for me, it's like this face with this information in my brain only works as long as I look this young. If I get older and I'm talking on YouTube about cars, who the fuck is gonna wanna listen to me? Nobody. So this face has to come out at the right time, right? So timing is very important. So that was one. So these masterminds now, I'm like, I got all these years of real estate experience. So I'm like, I put these things on and coach young cats to actually, if they want to buy real estate, maybe follow this path, Now I'm just so far past that. There are guys, coming up in the game or like almost up in the game or in the game, depending on, where people's perception is. Because again, like people are like, yo, I'm a millionaire. Like, okay, what does that even mean? Fuck. What does that mean? I don't know what the fuck that means. Does it mean you have $1 million in the bank? Does it mean you're worth $1 million because you have $1 million house? Or does that mean like you have 50 million in the bank, but you have 49 million in liabilities? What does that even mean?
Got a question on that. Do you think being a millionaire is very thrown around now? Like before, back in the day, it's like if you're a millionaire, like it took work, it took effort, it took years. Now, it could happen overnight.
It's super fucking cringe, actually. To be honest, it's cringe as fuck. Anybody tells me they're a millionaire, I'm like it's disgusting. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth. I don't even want to have a conversation with you. If somebody says like I'm a millionaire, or like people that start off the channel be like, here's five top, five, and I get it, it's so cliche, and I know that like, for me, it's like selling your soul for money. It's just selling your soul for subscribers, selling your soul for people's eyeballs. So for me, it's like the car stuff, I don't do it that way. But if I was going to start a podcast and I'm like, welcome to Mike's Finance Channel. 5 things you need to know about money from a millionaire. Like, holy fuck, how fucking nasty is that to hear from an authentic person, right? Like, who wants to hear that shit? And if that person on the other side wants to hear that shit, I don't even want to talk to you. Because I'll never want to be associated with the kind of person that thinks a certain way. Now, I know that's probably very harsh to hear, but the reality is if that's what's going to draw you to watching somebody that says they're a millionaire, or like I know the 5 top things are important to hear for sure, but is it from the person that you want to hear it from? Because your mind is completely open to listen to that shit. So it's very important that you actually monitor what you watch, who you believe, and like how you also present yourself, right? As me as a presenter, I have to give a fuck about that, right? So it's very important. That's what I believe. And so, yeah, just taking all the shit out of my brain, throwing it out there. So now, the last mastermind I did I had 45 guys in this room. And I said, man, I'm going to just pass the torch to guys that are more experienced in the space today than me. Yeah. Whatever the numbers of real estate doors and all that stuff and where I was and all that stuff is amazing. But I think today I'm not the right guy. I'm just not the right guy anymore. I'm not going to sit there and babysit you to go buy your first triplex, duplex, or 12-unit building. I'm just not that guy. I haven't done it in 6 years.
So what makes you rally up a bunch of like-minded individuals? Because I see your events and those look like the fucking events to be like in. If you're in London, if you're an entrepreneur, if you really want to hustle and you're not faking that shit and you're really trying to get in it, those are the events that look like they're the ones you have to be in.
For sure.
What made you rally?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Two and a half weeks before.
What made you rally up so many people?
A lot of reasons, man. I think the world's changed so much from over the last, because I started 3 years ago. So we can dive into that for a minute. Yeah. So the first one started just like all this data in my brain, before I first, so 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, I had 144 apartments, which is a lot of apartments.
144 apartments. Where?
In
London?
Oh, yeah, all in London. Everything in London. Yeah. Apartment buildings, duplex, triplexes.
You were paying him rent.
And a bit of St. Thomas.
Yeah, it feels like
So it's cool from a numbers perspective. So it's just like subscribers. Like, hey, shit, man, this is how many units I have. This is how many subscribers I have. Holy shit. Like, now you respect me more, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. So now I got to take the respect game and give people the information that I have while it's valid again. So I felt like that time was running out, to be honest, because that was like 2.5 years before I started these masterminds, 3 years before I started the masterminds. But then I realized that everything's so crazy. People talk about the weather all the time. And then people stop talking about the weather, and guess what they talk about? Real estate. And I'm like, yo, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. If everybody's talking about real estate, this is not healthy for anybody. Real estate used to be a thing that people needed, right? It used to be a thing that you could invest, put some money aside, grind it out, like auger toilets, deal with tenants that didn't pay you. That was the game. But now it's not even the game. Now it's a paperwork game. It's like, hey, I can put all this paperwork together. I can buy these units. I can refinance it. I can pull money out. I can over leverage this. I can play all these fucking fancy games to get money and buy these units, which are cool. And some guys do really well at it for sure. But I was out of it because it started not becoming fun anymore.
I was gonna ask you, do you think real estate's got really political, especially with like?
Well, let's finish the. We'll get into that in a minute. But I think that like the mastermind stuff. It was like at that 3-year point, I realized like I was starting to get old with the information, and old information to me is like useless information, right? Like, why are we sitting here talking about stuff from 3 years ago? You're wasting my time, man. And my time is important. Your time is important. People that are watching, their time is important, right? So with 3 years, I finally got the fucking balls to do it. I had this. The channel started to like just start off. And I said, man, I got to do something with the space, and I want to do something that I can give the information back to young cats, right? So what I did is, but I'm like, man, I got so much information in my brain, and the people that have followed me since, whether it be in the real estate game, because there's a lot of guys following me in the real estate game. I did a couple of podcasts about 4 years ago, and I got a pretty decent sized following. So 3 years ago, I was like, man, I'm going to put on my own thing. Or 2.5 years, I'm going to put on my own thing. So I charged people $3,500. The time $3,500 for 2 days. So I covered all the food. And I covered like overnight. So I put you up in a hotel, whatever. But then you pay me $3,500 plus HST, and I got 12 guys in here. So it was good. You know, I made like I took in like $40K worth of revenue, and I spent maybe 10 grand, right? So I made $30K in 2 days, and I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy from a revenue standpoint. But what people got in exchange was way more than 30 grand. 100%. Like, because I spent so much time, and a lot of those people are doing fairly well. And I'm not going to say it's because of me, but I'm going to say that I would probably be like one little check mark.
Like you sparked that light.
Something like that, you know?
It's an attribute to the system.
Yeah, it's like a boost, but also see like for me, it's like I look at other guys and I'm like, holy crap, man, these guys are doing like the YouTube channel. I'm like, these guys are killing it. They're doing so well. I want to get there. So like guys that are in the real estate game, there's like, holy shit, this guy's younger and he's doing well. I want to get there. So that's cool, man. I want to help you get there because, man, like it's like, I can't buy all the fucking rentals in the city, goddamn it, right? You know, so
it's cool to see like someone a little older trying to give game to the younger ones, especially like whatever endeavor it is, right?
What's the point if you try to hold yourself?
Well, that's a big issue, right? A lot of time the older ones want to keep their job for a long time, right? And it's like I don't want you to take my job because like even though you're younger, more charismatic, and you might take it away, it's like you should share that game. 100%. You really should.
Did you find that more people that were coming here, were they more real estate focused, or were they entrepreneurs in general?
At the time, the first couple were definitely real estate focused, but also remember, like the great thing about where I'm at in this point in time is that our parents generally speaking don't share information. Yeah, they're very hold it yourself. You know, you'll do well. Keep it yourself. You know, if you find a path, go on that path. Don't tell anybody about the path. Whereas with me, I'm like, yo, I'll tell everybody about anything. I don't hold nothing back. And the more I hold nothing back, the bigger the light becomes and the more I run towards it. And that's how I've always lived my life. Because people are like, yo, just talk to this guy, man. He'll tell you anything. It doesn't matter. I can be like, this is what I'm doing. I don't know if it's right or wrong. With all the shit that we're going to talk about today, I don't even know if it's right or wrong. And I've done a fuck ton of wrongs and I've lost a fuck ton of money. And I can go over some stories like in the last basically 7 months, I've lost 250 grand. And I can go over exactly how I lost it.
Let's get into that because I feel like a lot of people think that, like, you know, like it's all like sunshine and flowers when you're like an entrepreneur. Let's go through some of the
so let me finish the mastermind stuff because the mastermind is important to talk about kind of how it's evolved because it's actually more of a thing for me today. And that includes houses, right?
No, let's get into that.
So basically, I did a bunch of masterminds. I started doing 5 a year and it felt like at times it was easy to fill with people. And then I find at times it was hard to fill with people. So it's just like up and down. So you're like, oh my God, great day. You know, people want to come. And the next day I'm like, holy shit, nobody's interested. And then over time, it's okay because what happens is 12 people show up. And like, those 12 people are so engaging. They want to know about you. They want to learn.
YouTube views.
Yeah, it's like exactly. It's like YouTube views, you know? And then when you get that feeling and then you're done, and I put my heart and soul, man. Like every mastermind that people come, they're asking what time is it from, and I'm like, it starts at 9 and it's done when your brains are fried. Because I always say 5 p.m. and every single mastermind that anybody's been here and
9,
anybody
11,
can account,
10.
dude, one. The latest was 1:30. The earliest was 1. All of them.
So
nobody ever
engaged.
left, except for the last
engaged.
one because I take my son to a soccer game. But other than that. Nobody, man. Nobody. Like it's well, because people don't want to leave. People want to talk to each other, right? And people want to ask them questions. And then people want to know where they're at and see how they can get better. Yeah. So it's like, yo, we're all trying to get better. I always tell them, yo, ego at the door. Do not bring no fucking ego in here. If you bring an ego in here, you're never ever coming back again. And I will make sure that you don't come back to any of my fucking events ever.
Have you had that?
No, I mean, there's been people I've said you can't come for sure. I can't, man. I can't disrespect your time because this guy's a fucking ego. I can't do that, man. It's not right. I'm not here for the money. The money is important, but it's not the reason why I'm putting this on. I'm putting this on. The only reason I'm putting this on, like I'm not looking left, right. I'm looking straight. And that's telling me to take the information I have in my brain and give it to that person there. That's it. So if you're not willing to listen, why am I wasting my fucking time? So that's how I feel about it, right? So anyways, it became something, and then it evolved to me being kind of tired of giving all the data I had to like 12 select people. What I want to do is I want to bring people together because I felt like at that point, I was just talking all this information that I was giving to somebody. And I'm like, how much more can I do? It started becoming a job. And it started becoming a job. I'm like, yo, I'm not interested. So then what I did is I created like a hybrid version. So that I thought I wanted between 40 and 50 people. And I filled this room up to 40, 50 people. And I made a big circle. And in that circle, everybody can sit down and share their problems, share their issues, share where they're at. Jeez. But then also like be that we're all the same, right? And that's where it really became. And that's where now it's at the point where it's like, yo, this is dope. People are just sharing what they have. You got an issue with the multifamily? I'm like, yo, you need to speak to this guy. You want to learn how to grow properties? Well, yo, speak to Jeremy.
That's so empowering.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Glue.
That's so empowering.
You're the glue to everything. Essentially. Like DJ Khaled.
Yeah.
He brings all these people together.
DJ Khaled.
Literally. But if you want a good analogy, like that's it. It's like you literally just bring everybody who's good at a job and you have a problem. Yeah, I'll give you the right person.
Okay, so now these masterminds are going international.
Yes.
Because I saw a speak about that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's dope as hell.
Let's talk about
it. It's dope as hell. It's crazy because I just got two more guys that are jumping on board. So I do these things. So here's the problem with Canada, is it's very easy. Nah, it's a great country. It's a great country, but it's very easy to understand the system, right? It's a simple system. It's like, yo, there's a house. It's a piece of shit. You buy it with either somebody else's money or your own saved money or your parents' money. You buy it. Mm-hmm. Then you go to Home Depot, you get a whole bunch of credit cards, and you load up all the shit you're going to buy and put in the house on those credit cards. You fix the house up. You get an appraiser. Who's a buddy? Or somebody knows an appraiser. They come in there like, yo, this house, you paid $200 for it. It's worth $400 today. And you're like, I think it's worth $450. You're like, okay, don't worry about you, appraiser. I'll just get another appraiser at $450,000. That fool shows up. It's like, yo, this place is worth $450. Gives you an appraiser for $450. He takes that $450, gives it to the bank. The bank's like, sweet, I'm gonna give you 80% of this $450. And then guess what? You have about $100,000 cash back in your pocket and pay for all your shit. And you're like, sick, this is dope. That's cool, but man, is this the life I really wanna live? The same shit over and over and over? Coming from me that's had enough units? No, it's fucking boring. There's nothing cool about doing the same shit over and over and over again. When really, at the end of the day, these are all bullshit-ass inflated numbers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, I'm like, yo, this is boring for me. And I'm the type of guy that if it's boring, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Life is there to be lived. And if you're only going to chase fucking money and that's all you want, because you're like, yo, that extra $0 or that extra $20 or that $80, what is the fucking point, man? So for me, I'm just not interested. So I moved that kind of aside. And that's why with the whole mastermind stuff, I realized, shit, man, I'm going to give it to somebody better that can do the job better. So the last one, we had Kellen. I don't know if you had Kellen on the show. Yeah, you have Kellen on the show. Man. So Kellen's great. So Kellen's good. Kellen's very he's good. He's articulate. He's raw. He's raw to the point where he's done his own stuff. He's an individual guy. He just follows the system very well. He understands the game very well. So he's the perfect guy. I'm not the perfect guy. Mm-hmm. I've done it, but that's not me. Doesn't mean I want to do it and help you. Yeah. Right? Not in my life today. Yeah. Not interested. And then if you want to grow a little bit bigger, you want to get multifamilies and all that stuff, Jeremy. No,
Ivany.
That's my realtor.
Yeah,
Shut up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Evan, exactly. Evan was
on the pod.
Right? So there we go. So he's on the pod. So you have Jeremy. He's perfect. He's the perfect guy. You want to multifams, good guy from the heart. If it's something that is not out of his character, he will not do it. He's a good guy. Pure earth of the soul. Pure earth of the soul.
He's good. We got
whatever
him.
it is, right? Good. Really good guy. So you have those guys that are better than me. Why on earth am I going to take that business and try to get it for myself? That's not my business, man. It's their business. They know how to do it because they're in their zone right now.
That's very humble, though.
Yeah, how do you swallow that ego?
I was going to say, it's very humble of you to say that. Yeah, exactly. How do you swallow that ego? That's a good question.
What ego?
No, because that's an ego. Like, because you know you have the information, you know you have the data. You could do the same job.
You eliminated ego a long time ago. Like,
there's no such thing as ego. I think it's just insecurities and no confidence. It's like, okay, no. If you have, there's no such thing as ego. For me, it's like, yo, are you insecure because you don't know the information and you haven't taken the fucking chance or balls to do it?
Okay.
That's insecurity. Like, that's a really, really big one. And a lot of men don't have that, to be honest. Like, men have fucking zero fucking, they're fully of insecurities and they have barely any ego, which leads to confidence, man. You gotta have confidence and you gotta be a fool. You gotta sit here and sweat with this in this big jacket a couple times until you feel confident enough to come up here and speak your piece.
Yeah.
That's it. Right? You know what I mean? The first podcast you guys did, probably a bit nerve-wracking. We're at number 39 right now. You're having a good time. You're loose. You're easy, right?
It's fun. It's fun now.
Exactly.
It's fun. It's fun. So, I mean, like, what is there? And speaking of, like, passing business to other people, what the for money? Bro, I get it. I totally get it. If you make, let's call it, if your expenses are whatever they are, $3,000 a month, and you make $2,800 a month, totally important to worry about money. If your expenses are $3,000 a month, you make $5,000 a month. That's important about money because you feel like you're getting somewhere. You start making $50,000 a month. What is the point? 51's going to make a difference to you. 47? No.
Nothing.
What does it matter? And also remember. Also, I will tell you that if you're in Kellen's role, he's plateaued because now the banks are tightening up, and he's got information. So now he is in the position of giving and helping people as well. He can give those people back, right? So for him, getting 1 or 2 units doesn't mean anything. He wants to get bigger multifamily. So for him, it's going to help him. He gets information. You grow by being a person to give him money, and then he has a success story out of you. Right?
Symbiotic.
Exactly.
Back and forth.
Exactly. And same with Jeremy. You know what I mean? Yo, big words, bro. Big words.
Big words.
We know this.
Big words.
But let's talk about why you went international though, because these masterminds went to Panama, right?
Yes, so the international stuff really stems from being bored in Canada. So which is why I say I can't be like Jeremy, be a realtor, even though I am a realtor. I've been a realtor for the last 7 years, but it's only for my own data. Nobody's ever seen me say, hey, I want to sell you a house. So I sell my boys from time to time, but that is it. I don't go out there and flaunt that I'm a realtor because it's too boring for me. So I'm very tied to boringness and excitement. That's for me, it's like my thing. If it's not excitable and it's boring, I'm not interested.
Thrill or nothing?
All about
So you touched Colombia, Medellin, and you got excited.
Yeah, bro. I mean, Colombia for sure.
Let's be serious.
But how this game started was, so I had money. I got some money together, and I realized that, man, like I don't do the same shit in Canada, so I want to go away and try to buy something abroad. And I've been traveling my whole life. Like traveling has just been in my blood. I just love traveling. I feel like Canadians are very like international, but they're not international.
What's your favorite place you traveled to?
Hold up, bro. Hold up.
Don't I want to hear this.
Put on the vision board, bro. I'll tell you. No, so Canadians are very international. The reason I explain all these things is because you have to understand the depth of society to understand what choices you are going to make as a decision maker, right? So for me, it was realizing that Canadians are all about, hey, I want to travel somewhere, and guess where they travel? To an all-inclusive place.
Mexico.
I'm like, how is that traveling? That is not traveling. That is just sun chasing to be totally pampered and be lazy because you have 1 or 2 or 3 weeks per year. That's not really traveling. You're not really learning shit. You're not learning anything when you show up to WestJet, give your ticket, they put you on a plane, get your ass to an all-inclusive place, buy a bus, show up there, fill your face with food, get drunk, and swim in piss water, and then go to the ocean for 5 seconds and run back in. You're not really learning anything, man. Right? What are you learning? So for me, it's like, hey, go out there and stay in places where the local people live and just really learn stuff. Now, I'm not saying all Canadians do that, but the vast majority of Canadians, because we're such on a time crunch, that's what we do. So for me, that wasn't my game. So my whole life, I've just traveled in a non-inclusive environment. Obviously, when I have an 11-year-old son, so obviously when he was younger, totally different game. When I was married, that's what we did. Now I'm single, free man, so good times, thumbs up. Yeah, baby, can we clap, clap, clap? Love and life. Anyways. So what I realized was, man, I had this money in Canada, and I was like, yo, I'm not going to put this money in more real estate. I want to put it in a place that has warm weather, but also has growth. So I started looking at places. So I started off in Tulum. So Tulum was, you get to fly to Cancun. Yeah, you fly to Cancun. You're like, this is dope. You go to Tulum, big party spot. But it's like 5 to 7 years old, and it's saturated to death with people trying to sell you shit all the time. Also, apartments are going like crazy, and it's a total hipster joint, but it's not saturated, but I feel like it's plateaued. Then after that, I went to Costa Rica. I showed up in Costa Rica. Costa Rica had this huge influx of amazingness through COVID because people were like, I don't get the shot. I'm going to go to Costa Rica. And guess what? I'm going to live in the spot Here, hands up, go.
I got a question. So, like, especially with Costa Rica, since they have no party life, essentially that's their mitigation on, like, allowing that to come in. They essentially shut everything down very early so that there's no party life, and that's why the economy is so nice, because it's like they try to live like a very civil, like.
I think that's pretty generalized in terms of what. Yeah, I think that you'll never know until you go at the time. Right? Okay. Like when you go and you see it with your own eyes, you'll be like, oh, this is cool. And you talk to the people. But the real push, what happened with Costa Rica is that people sold all their shit in Canada because they were like, yo, then Canada got really political through COVID, right? Mm-hmm. And most countries did. Yeah. So when that happened, people were like, Trudeau, asshole, whatever.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, whatever story, right? whatever the story was, people were like, yo, I'm not getting the shot here. I'm going to go to a place that doesn't, you don't need the shot. And Costa Rica was one of them. You just have to leave Canada by a certain time. So people sold all their shit, went to Costa Rica, and there's tons of Canadians there building stuff on the west coast, like Nasara, Samara, the Tamarindo side, right? All that side, Guanacaste, they're building all that stuff. So from Tulum, flew over to this side, so Manuel Antonio, Jaco, went through that portion of it, then went to Guanacaste, did the whole thing to see what I would buy and if I could live here for a period of time. Not for the COVID deal, but because I felt like, man, there's nothing happening in Canada. There's like nothing. It's shit's dead.
You outgrew it.
Yeah, there's not. You can't invest here because it's the same system. And at the time, you couldn't invest because COVID shut everything down, right? Like people had no idea what real estate was going to be, so it was like stuck. So then I went to Costa Rica, but I couldn't find exactly what I wanted to be. And I found Canadians were already there probably 6 to 8 months before I showed up. So I felt like shit already saturated. I feel like it was overinflated at the time I got there. So I felt like this wasn't the right time. I did put a couple offers on stuff, which I can rehash that I did like 4 months ago. So I could tell you the price differences. It's actually gone down by about 16 to 20%. From 2.5 years ago to about 6 months ago. It's down. So spiked up and it's gone down. So Costa Rica is still on the menu for me, but just not right this second. In the next year, possibly. Then the next hop from that was Panama. I showed up in Panama, big city with an old town attached to it. I got to the old town, talked to some realtors, whatever, talked to some people. It also was totally dead, but the numbers were really good. So I bought a spot, 30 years, no taxes. Very
Roughly
important.
How much is a spot in Panama?
So I paid 155 Canadian for it, which the Canadian dollar's changed now. It's about 175 grand. Very small 2-bedroom, brand new in like the old part of town. So not super expensive, but you have to pay cash for it. You can't finance it, right? Okay. So it's not like Canada. You can't finance it. So I just bought a spot there. And the important part about Panama for me was a really good airport. So you can fly from Toronto, so Pearson, into Panama and then back. And then you can also fly to South America for very inexpensive because it's not the continent. I'm still in Latin America or Central America, which is cheap to fly because also Mexico is in Central America, right? So the bottom part is at least. So this whole sector from the flight perspective is cheap. Whereas if you go into Colombia, which is where the next place I bought, it's expensive because to go from Canada to Bogota is more expensive than to go to Canada to Panama. So it's cheaper to fly, especially on like peak season, So then I showed up in Medellin, which is a beautiful city. Beautiful city. Like the life is great, obviously. Like everything about Medellin is beautiful. You don't have to go to Europe to have Europe. You just go to Medellin, or you go to Buenos Aires in Argentina. It's beautiful. Now we know. Yeah, and for single, good-looking guys like you, I don't know who's not single, good-looking guys. The ladies.
I'm not single, but he is.
We'll do some traveling.
The ladies are really good, but the ladies are really good everywhere in the world. You just have to find the right one for you, right? That's basically the gist, right? That's true. It doesn't make it. You can find her outside this fucking beat up fucking old warehouse. You know what I mean? You can find them anywhere. So I showed to Medellin, beautiful city, but again, cities for me are very difficult because how do you know what the right place in the city is? Because if I talk to you, you'd be like, yeah, this place is being gentrified. It's amazing. This place is up and coming.
Everyone's a salesman.
Everyone's a salesman when it comes to their own country, right? So you got to see with your own eyes. And for me, it's not like I can go from Toronto or London to Medellin and just sit there and be like, okay, I'm home in an apartment. Like there's nothing there for me, right? So then what I did was I went to this town called Guatapé. And Guatapé is this little small like lake town. It's the closest lake town to Medellin, whatever you want to call it. And the reason I found this out was YouTube. I went on YouTube and I'm like, things to do in Medellin. And then boom, every single video was, in the top 1 or 2, you have to go to Guatapé. They're like, it's not in Medellin, but you should go check it out. You have to go visit this place. So I went there and this place was dope. It was dope. I stayed at a bunch of Airbnbs. I'm like, man, this place is amazing. And the way I find investments of sorts is I sit all different types of Airbnbs. And with the Airbnb I stay at, I contact the host and be like, hey, like I love your spot, but I found a problem. So I'm like, I found a problem. There's a nail here and it's right by the bed. Like, what do I do? Because that way I'll know as a host how you are going to be towards me. Are you going to be like push off, not care? I'm going to find a real judge of character based on my complaint. And based on my complaint, then I know if you're the right cat for me, if I want to invest with you or help me get better in that space. Because now I have a local lead.
So it's like data.
it's data, plus it's a test of character, right? Because at the end of the day, I got to deal with both you guys to come here on a podcast based on your character, right?
Yeah.
If your character's shit, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
If your character's good, we're doing it, right? Like that's how it became. So same thing with this Airbnb guy. I stayed at this Airbnb. It was amazing. It was really nice, and the spot was awesome. And I talked to him, and I was like, this is what I want to get into. He's like, man, this is my first Airbnb. I love it, and I wouldn't mind helping you if you want to grow. And I'm like, sick. Let's go look at properties. And it just so happened that he was a realtor.
Yeah.
And he showed me a bunch of properties. And again, I found lots of individual pieces of land. For those that don't know what Guatapé is, it's basically, again, this like lake town. It's a beautiful lake town. Like you can YouTube it or Google it or whatever. But it has this massive boulder. It's like a big rock. So it's like a fucking huge rock. And it's 720 stairs to climb all the way to the top of this rock. So you can see this rock from everywhere.
Did you do it? Is it the one where you can almost hold it like Atlas? Is it one of those rocks?
People try that, but no, it's just basically like a big boulder. It looks like honestly looks like a big Easter egg, to be honest. Okay. And you can see from the distance, and it has a big G because we're gonna write Guatapé. Wow. But the town across was like, no, this is our rock, and they thought, and then they just had the G and they stopped. So when you see this rock, it's like big old G, so we call it Big G.
Yeah.
So, so Guatapé. So he showed me a bunch of land, and I locked this piece of land down that was about 6.5 acres. So it was a big piece of land. It's the highest, tallest piece of land facing this rock on a mountain. So I basically bought a mountain. It's like the sickest thing ever. Like it's the dopest thing ever.
Top property.
That's
top property.
But it was big dollars. It cost me $600,000 Canadian, which is a lot of money. Like I could have put $600,000 and I could have bought a $5 to $7 million building in Canada. Yeah. But I bought a rock in Colombia. So who's the dumbass?
You're hoping.
Well, I mean, we'll see with time. We'll see with time.
Yeah, but you're looking for that turnaround on that one, right? Or is it like?
I think also like the people that are going to watch this and yourselves, most people generally speaking are like, okay, so this is going to cost me this. What am I going to get out of this? Like how much money am I going to get? What's the rate of return? Like I'm putting money out. What am I getting back? It's very normal, but my brain doesn't think this way. My brain thinks about, man, like when I die, I'm going to have a fucking mountain with a whole bunch of cool cabins and that's dope, right? You know what I mean? And like, what is money, bro? What is money? Yeah, like, what is money? It's nothing.
Well, what is money to you then? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's totally like people. It's very cliche, but it's a tool, right? It's a tool. I can buy this spot. So for me, it's about, I look at life from a very, very macro perspective. I look at it from like, I take a big globe and I write it all down and I look at everything. So the way I look at it is this. I will say like Colombia is going to have cabins. Those cabins are going to be rented or be endorsed by local celebrities, 1,000%. I'm also going to endorse Americans and Canadians that are very global. So they can stay at my spot for free and hype up the brand. So now it's shifted from, using money as a tool to how do I get my personal brand as high and as strong as possible? Because that is a currency as well, right? And it's like a hidden currency, right? Or it's starting to become something really. Yeah. But what that money will do is that from a distance now, I can have all these people stay for free. So people are like, no, but they got to pay because they're staying, right? Yeah. Not me. I'm like, no, it's marketing. I don't care if I fill this place up for 1 year and make no money, but all I have is influencers and people that are, worth something essentially that are going to bump my brand. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, business is all paid by the middle class and the lower class, right? In any business you're in, who's spending the money? The bottom class, the middle class, and the lower class, not the rich. The rich need to get shit for free. That's the way the game is played.
Taxes or a credit card, essentially, how they do it.
Exactly. So people, and the middle class and the lower class always want to be like the upper class. So if the upper class is paying, then the middle class and lower class will not see that the upper class is playing because the upper class wants to stay quiet about it. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's just a strategy, right? Everybody has a different strategy. So for me, Colombia will be a place to stay in when it's freezing here. I can go there and I can chill there, but I can always also use that as a marketing tool. So let's say, for example, you guys hit 1 million subscribers next year, hypothetically, and you guys have a person on the show, and the person on the show is like highly influential in the car game, in my YouTube game. And I'd be like, yo, reach out to this guy and be like, yo, man, he can stay at my spot for a week for free. All good. Yeah. And you'd be like, yo, man, for sure, 100%. So all you guys can come stay at my place for a week for free. And guess what's going to happen? This guy's going to promote my shit, and he's going to probably help me get a car. Mm-hmm. And that car is going to help my YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel is going to help me meet somebody else. So for me, from a really far perspective, everything I touch and feel is going to touch something else that I do, which is why I do a lot of different businesses.
Did you realize that at a very young age?
No, not at all. Not at all. I realized that when I realized that people we're in a society where you feel like you're told to do one thing, be very good at one thing. It's stuff we're raised on. It's bullshit. You're not have to do one thing. You can do a million things. And people will say you can make more money doing one thing, and that's absolutely true. You can. But how many of those people are actually in existence? A very small amount.
Barely.
Very small amount. Like here, Pepsi, Nestle, whatever, right? It's not one dude, company. But it's one company.
Have you heard of like the Octopus Method, which is like put your hand in as many things as possible, and like essentially one of them will catch on?
No. And I'll tell you why. Because I don't give a flying fuck about what all these theories mean. I don't read books. One of my slogans on the back of that fucking thing will tell you burn the books. I'm actually not against, but I feel like you have this whole new let's call it a whole new bunch of individuals that have been doing it for a long time quietly. And then you have another tile with a whole bunch of individuals that are like, hey, I can make money by just reciprocating information and calling it and terming everything and basically putting lines on things and basically just tossing it like candy and trying to get some merit from it, right? So I feel like there's a lot of smart dudes out there and there's a lot of people that write really good books. For me, I can't read books, but I also feel that today we have to take this information, like analysis paralysis, right? Take all this information, you like know this theory. I feel like I live just based by experiences, and that experience happens to be a similar theory to yours or to what you just said. And every theory is going to be like that because they're all going to be polar opposites. Same with like YouTube or same with like media. The ones who win are very polarizing, right? So you have one person that's totally against like left-wing politics, and you have one that's totally against. That's the only way those people get attention. The middle people don't get no attention.
The extremes
always win. The extremes always win, which is why on YouTube I'm super hyper because I'm annoying as hell sometimes.
But
right?
it works.
You know
though.
What I mean?
It
works.
It's that type of attention that you put to it is what drives attention back towards you, right?
Exactly, man. And I think it's not even just for me. So I believe from a few reasons that multiple streams of income, which is how this all started, right? Like so the young age thing. I realized the young age thing for sure. I realized that you need to have a whole bunch of things in your palm because if one falls, you have another paying the bills. Now it's more work and you might not be a millionaire, but over time you will. You just got no choice. Like it's inevitable it's going to happen. Yeah. Like, so you have 4 businesses that make 30 grand a year, every year for the next 20 years, you're going to win because it's not going to stay at 30. It might go to 70. One might go to 20. The other might go to 95. It's just the way it's going to happen. Where if you have one, you put everything in one. Well, yes, you have a higher likelihood to win, but your competition is way higher. Your mental stress is off the chains. There's not one person on the planet that can tell me they're highly successful in one very tight niche and has no stress. It's impossible. Yeah. There's nobody. They can bullshit you all they want, but there's nobody because now they are the person and they are forced to work. Okay. Because as soon as you have success, you have a boss.
On that note, like I know you're a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How do you keep it all going? You know what I mean? Like you dip your toes in one thing, you let it spark, and you let it grow.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you go on to another one.
For sure.
You
So everything takes 3 years, right? Everything takes 3 years.
Okay, first of all, how much businesses do you have? Or how much sources of income?
Yeah, so sources of income, I probably have between 6 and 7 all the time, right? So like YouTube's one, private lending's the other, flips, which I've slowed down because obviously the markets have changed, rentals. Did I say private lending already? Yeah, private lending. So YouTube, private lending. Oh, what else? Man, my brain. Oh, roofing. I forgot about roofing. Yeah, that's a big one, right? That's like basically second in line. Sometimes first. Renos. We renovate houses. So when not houses, but when we do roofs and there's like disasters in commercial spots, we renovate the commercial spot. That's just subbing. So I sub that out because obviously I can't do it, right? But the roof income is my own team, my own guys. That's all my own thing. I have 3 full-time guys that work with me full-time all the time between rentals and flips and gutting and all that stuff. YouTube, me and Ian.
How does it feel to manage all that? Like, do you ever feel like at night you're sleeping, you're like, fuck, one of these things are gonna fall? Like, what are you thinking?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if, to whoever watches my stuff on Instagram, they can see that I don't actually ever work. I mean, I'm never actually working. Yeah. I mean, I'm always traveling, right? Like I travel.
For real,
I mean, my son.
You work while you're traveling, no?
I mean, I've merged it again. So like this whole it's called IDU, which is Income Diversity University, which is where I basically take and I coach people on how to be diverse with your money.
Yeah.
And part of that was the international piece. Again, we keep jumping around, but so how I take it all now. So IDU's become something. I'm actually making money off people coming on trips with me, which is the craziest thing ever. But then I'm coaching them just like I was here in Canada about properties. I'm coaching them in other countries on how to bring money there, the right spots, the right people to meet with. If you want to invest in a project with me or somebody else, well, here are your options. I'm giving people options. Instead of them going out blindly and trying to figure it out, I'm doing it for you. I've done it. I have to be compensated, at least very, very slightly. I'm asking for a lot of money, but also you have to also ask and make it worthwhile for somebody. If somebody's not going to put out money, they're not actually serious about it, which means I'm wasting my time, right? So it's kind of a balance with that. So exactly. So I think that was 7 if I counted correctly, but 6 or 7, right?
No, so, but I guess like what's your?
Oh, and I have a restaurant. I forgot to tell you that.
A restaurant.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
It loses money like crazy.
Okay,
It's my only loser. I always lose money on restaurants. But
Go pee. But I guess what keeps you so driven? Like what keeps you sustaining so much things? What's your why?
Well, the more I run towards everything, the brighter things get, and the more people that want to be involved, because every niche I do is something interesting, right? Like whether I do cars, people are like, oh my God, cars are sick. If I do private lending, they'll be like, okay, well, how can I get into private lending once I'm done this project? I can see people's flips. So if I'm loaning money out to somebody, I want to see your flip. I want to see what you're doing so that I know that my money is safe in your flip, that you become successful. They all kind of intertwine, right? So as long as they intertwine, I feel good about it. And if I'm stressful, and this is why the whole like mindset piece comes into place. If I'm stressful about roofing, well, I can just shift my mind to cars. If I'm stressful about cars, which never ever happens because it's a freaking car, how are you gonna get stressful? Unless it's like a boring car and I'm bored. You shift your mind. In my specific case, now will be international investing. And international investing is really interesting because what you realize now is that Canadians want to get money out of Canada, not because they don't like the country, but the gains are not what they used to be here, right? People are like, real estate's kind of slowing down. It's starting to get a bit weird. And also after COVID, people are like, yo, you got to live your life. Like you got to YOLO it up. And you can't YOLO it up in the fucking winter. Like, you know how depressing this shit is outside? People mess with me all the time. They're like, yo, it's so depressing here. Can I go somewhere warm? I cannot wait to go somewhere in end of March or whatever. And I'm like, yo, just go next week. Like, what are you worried about? Tell your boss that like it's just a crazy world, man. So I can tell my story to a million people, but only a few will listen, unfortunately. And it's not because that they don't hear it. It's because they don't make a change, right? They're comfortable in their own zone. They're like, oh my God, we're so lucky to be here. And we are, but you have to use every single strand you're given to the fullest. And that's what keeps me driven, man. I just think, man, I think we take life way too lightly in terms of wanting to be a winner. I think that it's so easy for people to be lazy. It's so easy. Like I can go to other countries and I'm driven, I'm motivated, I'm moving, I'm always on my feet. I'm like, my mind is thinking. I want to get shit done. I take my phone and I go in my notes and I write all this stuff down of all these ideas I have and all these different people that I meet. And I'm like, yo, I can connect you with you, and that's what you guys are going to do, and you're going to become something big. And then when that happens, you'll remember that I'm the person that put you guys together, whatever it may be. But then when I come back to Canada, I realize, oh man, we're chilling here. We're cool. We're having a good time. Let's just have a drink. Let's just chill out. I'm like, you're fucking wasting your life, dude. You're wasting your life, and you're wasting mine by having me sitting here and talking to you, is how I would feel if people don't do anything, right? Which is why it's important for me is when I have these like masterminds and people come, I have them fill out forms beforehand to know who I'm dealing with. Because I'm not here to make money, to babysit you. I'm here to find the right person to actually win, because then I feel great. So that's my why. My why is just understanding, like, the more craziness that I become and the better I do, the more people can be like, shit, man, like, I just saw him 3 weeks ago and he's doing something crazy again, And it's like, shit, it's winning or it's losing. Because as I said, I've lost money. But the winning, like the international investing, there's nobody right now, like I shit you not, right now in Canada, and I've looked up and down, there's nobody like me right now that has experience with drawing guys in with cars, with understanding how construction works, and not just regular construction, understanding how flips work. Because in 2021, I did 18 flips and I made 1.7 million on flips, which is a huge number. Nobody's done that. And on top of it, and people do it, but it's their own business. But that for me is a side business. And on top of that, have done all the little things I've done, the car stuff. Like, I have no problem spending money to understand how to get better in something and to lose money. I do all that stuff. Why? Because money is a tool, number one. But by doing all this stuff now, I can take that and take it to the international investing side. And it's such a term, international investing. But I can go into a country like Colombia where people will always ask me the same stupid question, like, how many subscribers do you have? They're going to ask me what? They're going to ask me, is it safe? Is it dangerous? That's the question I get. And I'm like, it's not 5 years ago. You need to shut off fucking Netflix and stop watching Narcos. Because again, that's why Canadians are lazy. Because all we do is watch TV, we chill. And we go to the gym and we have sexy fucking booty pics. That's what we do. But that's not real life, man. That's not real. For me, it's not real life. It's bullshit life.
Do you find like that's mostly like the West, like America and Canada? Like once you explore out there, it's different? Or
yeah, what? I mean, I think that everybody wants to be American in some capacity,
because
right?
freedom and like
laziness, or is it because
and your phone,
like the lack of, or is it the lack of like
your phone? That's actually
it's
or
your phone,
the lack
right?
of effort though. Like that's what I find here. Like,
well, I think you have to figure out who you want to be, right? So most people are consumers. I can put a story on my phone, and within 30 seconds, I can have over 200 people watch my stuff in 30 seconds. I'm like, what are you doing? And I don't mean like one time. This is like any time. I put it at 30 seconds. There's people there watching my stuff, which means like, holy shit, I have to feed the beast, which is amazing. I love it. I love what I do. I love putting it. But at the same time, we're all consuming. So I'm always pushing people. I'm like, dude, you can watch my shit, but just make sure you do your own shit, because you need to be a consumer. You cannot, you need to be a creator. You can't be a consumer. Because the more you consume, the more you get trapped in the game. And we know, like, I feel like when we consume information, we become kids, like when you're grade 6, 7, 8, and you're fucking dozing and daydreaming. You guys remember this? You're sitting in class and you're trying to spin your pencil and the teacher's talking and all you can think about is absolutely nothing. Your fucking brain is dozed out. You're dozing about, your eyes gazing and shit. That's what happens when you watch your phone. We don't do shit. We sit on our fucking fat asses, no matter how skinny or fat you actually are, and we don't do shit. So for me, I'm like, yo, I can't do that.
But on that note, like we just came back from Amsterdam last week and like we didn't see one single overweight person.
Because they're walking.
Out there in Europe. Because they're walking, because they're biking.
And
the lifestyle is different.
I was going to ask you, like, pivoting back to, like, remember where you said, like, I ask everyone to write a little bit about themselves so you can kind of identify. What's a really big factor or, like, one thing that you read where you're like, okay, I want to coach this person or I actually want to talk to you?
Yeah, so there's levels. All good? Yeah, wait.
Sorry. I got checked on Mike.
That's
why we got Brandon, though. That's why we got Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. Yeah, big old Brandon. Brandon, you're going to, remember, you're going to be the main lead when he buys his $12 million building, right? You're going to be the guy showing up.
100%. Yeah. He's going to write the contract. I don't want to be there. I want to be in a different country.
He's going to show up. Yeah, man. No, so when people write the information, for me, it's about understanding what I'm trying to talk about at the time. Because the thing is that it's going to mean nothing to you if I'm going to sit here and talk about commercial lending on buying a $7.5 million building. It might mean absolutely, you want to know about it, but that information is useless today for you. It might be very useful in 3 years, and you might want to aspire to that, and you might get all fucking giddy inside and be like all pumped, and we drive home in your car, be like, I'm going to own a $7 million building, and you might give yourself this fucking pep talk, but at that time, at that place, that is the wrong information for you. You need to hear it from somebody that wants to buy a 2-unit building or a 3-unit building, because that's where you have to start. So that information for me is useless. So, is amazing, but the information that you get is useless. So when I read all this stuff, I'm like, this is just the wrong guy. And I tell them, I'm like, dude, this is just probably not the right event for you. And I don't mean to tell you off, right? I honestly, and it sounds crazy, but I actually reject people more than I accept them.
That's good though.
Yeah. And I tell people, I tell them the truth, but I want to hug them and kiss them, not in any sort of fucking gay way. I want to hug them and kiss them because I want them to get better with somebody else first, and then come to me, or vice versa. Maybe I'm not as big as maybe they're bigger than me in that space, right? You know what I mean? Like YouTube, man. YouTube. I want to learn about YouTube stuff, right? Just like you guys want to learn about me in YouTube, I want to learn from guys that are bigger than me. So we're always trying to learn and get better. I'm not like sitting on this fucking throne thinking I'm hot shit. That is why multiple streams of income are so important, because everything I do is about 50 to 70% of its actual capacity. So I have a roofing company, and I have between 5 and 11 guys. I taper up and down, and I never take on way more business than I can handle, and I will always take on just enough or a little bit more, so my guys are not super stressed with work and not dying from famine.
So do you outsource a lot then at this point?
Do I say what?
Outsource. Where you're like
no. The only outsourcing I do is when I do the like some of the flip stuff, because it's stupid. Like I'm not gonna sit and waste my time, right?
Yeah.
You know? So I have one guy on the team, like my team, that basically he handles like 4 different like, and electrical stuff,
like your
plumbing,
PM guys, your project manager. Yeah.
But my PM guys is also my handyman. My handyman also does like he'll go in there and he'll replace a toilet for me and rentals. So they're always moving and doing stuff. And now I got my family on board, so. Because I'm like, the government's going to take half my money anyways. I might as well help my family and get better as well, right? Take them out of the stuff, right? You know what I mean? So this is a really important piece to understand about the economy of how Canada works, and accounting especially. So for me, silos of where money goes is very important. So business is an example. So if I'm going out to have dinner, I can write off that dinner through being a realtor. I can write off that dinner, and that person happens to be a client. I can take it and write that person off through roofing. I can also write that meal off through YouTube, because hey, we're going out there, we're talking about content. That is a legitimate reason. You're a creator, I'm a creator, we can come on here, those are 3 different silos of write-offs. That is very important. Now let's say I wanted to go buy clothes. I can probably do that on the realtor side. Could I do that on the rental side? No, you can't.
On YouTube, we probably could though, right?
You could on YouTube, but how much can you write off on YouTube? Okay. So there's lengths and gaps.
Yeah,
and also how much
pull and give,
also how much money you make on each source and each silo. So if you have 5 different silos or 8 different silos or 5 or 6 or 8 different companies, well, you have different things to write money off. It's not like I'm purposely writing it off, but my time is so limited and I only have so much to do. You think when I go out, I'm going to go sit there and try to rip the government off? No, I'm going there to do business or make money or be with people that are going to help me make money. And that is a write-offable piece.
Yeah. Well, one thing you emphasized was time. Like you always talk about time.
For sure.
I guess my question is that like, how do you value like your time? You know what I mean? Like how's your schedule?
Yeah.
Are you busy from fucking like 8 a.m. till?
I don't think anybody.
And could we put a dollar value on it too?
If anybody says, good question. If anybody says like, how do I value time? Well, time on anybody's watch is important to them. Right? But you have more of it obviously when you're younger and you have less of it when you're more successful. But nobody on the planet says, man, I'm busy from morning to day, I have meetings, but that's all bullshit. If they are the case, it's because they're in the zone on that particular project. But really nobody works that hard, that much, that crazy, because your mind needs time to be creative. That's the part that people don't understand. You can't keep working. You need to have a creative time where your brain can actually reflect on what you're doing to get better the next step or the next day or the next minute or next hour. So my day is definitely not filled from top to bottom. I have stuff to do in blocks, but the blocks are different. I don't babysit anymore at all. So I'm not there to be like, hey, this tap is not on properly. This light fixture is not right. I can just walk into place for 30 seconds and I'll be like, okay. And I go in the car, and when I'm driving back, I just voice note to my main guy to tell him what I saw. That's it. And it's his responsibility to do the rest. So that's simple, right? I don't need a lot of time to do that. I'm not going to sit there and fucking dog fuck. I also don't make small talk anymore. I've taken small talk out of my vocabulary. I don't even waste my time with that with anybody. I'll meet somebody and I'll genuinely want to know about that person. I'm not wasting time talking about small talk. I don't talk politics. I don't sit here and I'm not going to be like, hey, like Trudeau did this. I don't give a flying fuck. It doesn't matter to me. What does it matter, man? I got a path. I got a goal. Why do I waste my time on politics? Politics are for old people. They just want to burn their lives talking about politics. But not me, man. I want to talk about how to get better and accomplish great things. Because I only have energy today. I don't know if I'm going to show up tomorrow and have energy. So whatever energy I have today, I'm using it today. Because tomorrow when I wake up, I'm going to have the same goddamn energy. I'm not going to get any extra energy tomorrow. So how on earth would I want to think that it's the right thing to do to lose what I was given today? So that's what drives me. And if it doesn't drive you, then you need to look at yourself in the fucking mirror and wake the fuck up. So that's how I look at life, and to be always moving. But you cannot be always grinding. You have to take 5, 10, 20% of your day to just kind of reflect on what the next hour.
How do you deal with those times where you're like, hey, fuck, I've been grinding for 7 days. I've been like
I don't do that anymore. Yeah, because money is a strange thing.
Really?
When you have the right people in the right places, you don't actually even do much.
Yeah.
I'm very creative. I'm pretty much creative all the time. So my time now is basically sits on an airplane. Like a lot of my life in the last 6 months has been sitting on a plane. So now what's exciting to me is like aeroplane.
I feel like that's like
airplane points. Love it.
No, it's funny because
I feel like that's the end goal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what are you striving for after that? You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people just want to get to where you're at, and then that's it. I can RIP.
Let me RIP this for half a second. I'm going to tell you exactly what. Yeah, ask me whatever you want in a second.
No, just to make a comment. So like going back to those airplane points, I was listening to like a really rich person talk. It's like, okay.
Yeah, go.
People who don't have money, they worry about the money they put on their credit cards. People who have money worry about the points that they accumulate on their credit cards. And essentially, that's a credit card. It's how much points do you make? That's all. It's very matters.
Like I need to from a dollar perspective. Like, what's my time worth? It's hard for me to put a number on what my time is worth.
Yeah, I want to know that.
But it's a very difficult question to answer. No, I cannot pinpoint it, but let me I just want to read this. I'll talk about airplane points and then money. So this guy says he sends me this message because he's one coming. He's just he's been to one of my events before, and he said, here's what he says. He said, you're literally doing what I dreamed to do. So why wouldn't I come with and get a look what's under the hood right? I've never been anywhere that wasn't an all-inclusive, so I'm really excited for this amazing experience. So he's one coming to Colombia in May. Now, I try very hard to get people to come, not because I'm like, hey, I got to fill this thing up, but I want to get the right people. So the more people I can get to come, the more I can select who the right people would be. Yeah. So the right group is really good, and people can connect, and people can talk, and people can grow. You have to be with somebody that kind of is in your same league, but also someone with totally different interests and totally different like aspirations, so that you guys can merge together and grow mentally. So sorry to answer the question about money and like airplane points. So airplane points for me, I need to have at least, the way I've been flying, between 400 and 700,000 airplane points a year.
Jeez.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I try.
If you don't fly, those are big numbers.
There we go. So for me, like,
this guy's on a plane every other week to make those numbers.
Yeah,
what?
I am. I mean, I'm on a plane at least 5 to 7 times a month. Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, this month I'll be on a plane maybe 12 times. Yeah, I'm going on the 10th. I'm going to San Francisco.
Days in a month.
I'm going to San Francisco from the 10th to the 15th. I was just in Panama. I got back on the 7th. On the 17th, I'm going to I have to look at my phone, but yeah.
Tennessee, right? Yeah. I'll see you in Tennessee.
Take me back to Tennessee. No.
That's why I was happy. I'm happy you got time with you because I know you're always flying. I see your Instagram and you're always like in different countries.
Which is totally surreal for me because I was never like this, right? Like I was sitting at a car dealership and I was selling cars. You could have my time for free at any point. But I knew that, like, and I posted about this the other day, like I sat at a car dealership and I sold cars to people that just walked through the door and they would treat me like a piece of shit because I was a car sales guy and we're all shady as fuck. Remember? Because every car sales guy is shady. There's no good ones on the planet.
That's the perception.
Yeah. So people would come and they'd sit there, and the only thing that I didn't sit there and be like, I'm this fucking guy and I have all these units. And I do at that time, like I was pulling in 7 figures. Meanwhile, I sold selling Audis, and I'd pull in like the most I ever made at Audi is $135,000, and I made between 7 and 9 times that in all my other businesses.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And I sat there, and the one thing that really shook me, besides the whole like Audi thing, the whole like 6 million impressions thing, is I sat in the back of an Audi S5 2-door. And these 2 kids were driving it, and they were driving like they were like bullying me to take this thing for a drive. They're gonna get money. Their dad's gonna be all this bullshit. And then I told my, the manager at the time, because of course you have to get approval from manager to go for car with younger, whatever, under 25. And I'm like, dude, I don't even go for a test drive with these people. And he's like, man, you have to go, and they want to come, and if they give us a bad like CSI report. And it was sat in the back of this car, and I thought, man, these guys are fucking joyriding this thing, and I'm risking my life to make what, $300 to $500, wasting my life here. And to me, I ate that shit up because I needed a T4 to refinance one of my biggest buildings. And I was afraid that when I was going to refinance this building, the bank would say, well, you don't have a full-time job. So I was like, man, I've been selling Audis for 14 years here. I just quit like 3 months ago. I didn't want to be in that position. So I just waited, and I put up with, I ate shit, even though I had a really good job. Like I would say my job was super easy. I was like the king of the fucking castle there. I sat behind a desk. And when customers came in, I would just pick and choose when I wanted to talk to them. My computer was there, and all I had was my roofing stuff, all my flips. I had everything on a computer. I had guys all set up. So I was basically sitting there like a call center, just basically prioritizing all my shit. You want? Yeah, I could just figure out what I want to do, and if I had a customer. So in the end, I didn't even get customers anymore. All the bosses were like, "Don't give Mike any leads because he doesn't need it." He's just sitting there. So I just felt like my time was running out, and I felt like it was just a time for me to move. And also, anybody that saw me from the outside is like, "This guy's an idiot. Like why the fuck is this guy, successful as fuck, sitting here selling cars?" But for me, I didn't look at it like that because I have no shame, dude. I don't give a fuck. I don't need to sit on a throne to be this cool guy. So now, when I see these subscriber numbers, now when I see myself sitting like basically business class, I don't do it all the time because I try to save some of my points. Yeah. But I try to take business class at least every other flight. So I'm sitting there in the pod enjoying life with other ballers and shit, which I like to socialize. Half of them are fake, by the way, when you fly business class, because they're on this whole like airplane points vibe too. Yeah. They're all flying for free points, and some of them actually pay. But at the same time, like when it's surreal to me. So like when you're looking at me, like I'm in this body for sure. Yeah. But when you're looking at me saying, man, so how do you accomplish things? I'm like, dude, these are crazy questions that I'm getting because for me, it's just part of life. Yeah. I don't look at it like it's something fucking fresh, new, and exciting. I just think like, man, aren't we all trying to get here where the fuck I'm going? Yeah. Like, aren't we all trying to like just buy a bunch of properties? Probably not the best time in Canada, but just try a bunch of properties. That'll get something motivated. Then open up a business. If you get some traction, keep fucking put more fuel in it. It'll become something. And then just stop it. Work on it for 3 years. Don't listen to anybody's opinions. Close your fucking ears. Focus on it for 3 years. When you're done that shit, see how it goes. Look back and say, hey, this has worked. This hasn't worked. And then do something else. Merge up with one of your boys. Try something new. You can always fuck up, like Hormozy says, when you're young, right? You know what I mean? But it's not. He's great bringing all this information on the street. But at the end of the day, man, is like you have the opportunity. We can move. It's up to you whether you want to make that choice to move. Yeah. Right? Like we have that opportunity, man. And the more you do this thing, like I have to give you guys props. Here's the deal. You probably make no fucking money off this podcast, but there's 5 of you sitting in this fucking room. You hear that? There's 5 dudes sitting in this room talking to me, making no money, and they're all smiling. Yeah. Like, don't you all? So don't ever lose that. I mean, I'm being 100% serious. 10 years from now, if you are doing something and you're making $300 a day, but 2 months ago you're making $400 a day, do not be fucking upset. Do not be upset. It's going to make you upset. I swear to you, it is going to make you upset. But you're doing it today for free. Just remember this. It doesn't have to be podcasts. It can be anything you're doing. But people get so caught up on being better to more than they are today financially. Yeah. Just be better than you are today in every other way except for maybe a number on a board or a number on your phone.
I think one big thing we took away is like, thank you for saying that, honestly. Like, yeah, we are here, 5 of us. We've been putting in work for time. But what we learned is this. Consistency, you can't beat consistency. Time and time again, like we've consistently grown. Like we've outdone ourselves every time. Like, for example, having you on, I guarantee you, like, people are going to hear the message. They're going to hear the content. They're going to understand. This is something that's not going to end right here. No, it's something that's going to be continual. It's going to be something beneficial. And at the end of the day, it's like, it's something that we like to do. And I think that's the whole goal. 100%. Find something that you love, make it a passion, and just run with it.
Yeah, and it's a resume. You're putting a resume out there, right? And you get more guys, and it kind of becomes something. Like, the podcast vibe is not new whatsoever. But what the podcast thing does for you is it puts you on the internet. So if you have to basically show someone what the fuck you do in this particular aspect, you can be like, yeah, just jump on YouTube and just search us. Yeah. It's that easy. Yeah. Like, it's the best thing, easiest thing ever.
It's the best resume, right?
It's the best resume, man. It gets you experience. Now you have experience in talking to people, asking questions, digging more information. And maybe you learn something. Not always, because you, in your position right now, it's like hosting a party. Are you really having fun at the party? You're kind of hosting it. You have fun. You have fun in spurts when you remember to have fun. For the most part, you're thinking, holy shit, what am I asking next? What's the next question? Where's this conversation going? That's what you're thinking about. I'm thinking about, shit, I've done this fucking enough times. Not in this exact
just situation. Just at the party having fun.
But I'm like, yo, this is sick.
Yeah, right? I was going to say, like, I feel like I know the answer to this question, but, like, what's the next 3 years like? Because, like, I feel like you're always going to be like, go. Let's keep on growing this business. Like,
like, I can tell you exactly in a few pieces where it's going to go. So the big thing on my plate right now is IDU, so Income Diversity University. What's going to happen with that is we're going to have all these events in other countries. People are going to come, guys like us are going to go, we're going to have a good time, but we're also going to learn about what happens in those countries, from how to bring money from Canada there, how to make money, how to send the money back to Canada, how to use that money in other countries, what interest you can make on your money, all those types of pieces. Learn about the culture, open your mind. So when people kind of experience that, they're going to be sold to understand, like, man, there's more to life than just all-inclusives like I talked about. And Canada's great, but Canada allows us to actually have a gateway to other countries where we are superior in that space. And when you have more people that understand you're superior in that space, that's going to draw more people in. And because I'm at the top of the food chain and I got you guys there, people are going to respect me in that space, right? So ID will grow, and now we'll add more countries to it. We're going to have more co-hosts like me. So I have, so Amar, I don't know if you know Amar, but Amar joined the team with me. So it's me and Amar. Now the next one we're going to do, it's going to be 2 of us. So he's going to bring a totally different aspect that I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring the business side of things, super hyper, excitable, all that fun stuff. And structure of businesses. He's going to bring the details. He's going to bring, like, charts. He's going to be the real
nitty gritty,
the numbers, the depth of different things. But also he brings the body. He's very big into understanding your body, breathing, how to work on your body, how to be a better man, how to dress better, how to smell better.
So better content now. Like, you're diving from, like, fast cars to a full human being now.
Exactly. So like, for me, I'm a grinder. So I don't care about my body as much. I'm hyper. I'm good.
Why not?
But if my knees hurt, I don't care. I just keep moving. Because it's not important to me. I wasn't raised to worry about my body. I was worried about being a winner and being successful. And those things did not really care about your body, right? So Amar brings the body portion of it. So together now, it's going to help us. So part of that is adding more countries to it. So I have a guy in Costa Rica, Buddy Riley. So he's going to add to this piece. So we're going to have eventually it'll be Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica. So those 3 places. Now when I build these, if you've seen some renderings of it, I guess I can send you, Brandon, some of the videos of this project that I'm building, so you guys can put it up on the screen there, so you can see how sick it is. It's like dope as hell. So the 6.5 acres that I bought, it cost big money, but I'm building these cabins, like super ultra modern, like out of this world, amazing, beautiful cabins. You see these things, it's like drop dead gorgeous. So I'm building, in total, I'm starting off with 7, and then I'm going to have a small event center there, and then underneath I'm going to have 5 more. So I'm going to be 12 units total in this little enclave of 6.5 acres, looking at this rock. My prices are going to be anywhere between $200 and $300. My total cost of this project, anyways, it's basically going to make lots of money.
Ricardo, is this the ones you showed me? These are the ones that, like, essentially just straight up, right?
They're on an angle.
They look sexy. They look
they're very like just like
they're modern as fuck.
Modern as hell. Like, okay, I seen them.
Yeah.
Fire. What was the total cost of the project then?
Well, I don't know because it's not built yet.
So
right?
I'm in 7 point something.
Yeah.
Right?
But I would say, I would say that if I had to add up all the math, let's just talk about the 7 that are there right now.
Yeah.
I should probably net. It's going to probably cost me about just about 1.7 million bucks for the units less the land, but the land sort of negates itself because there's 4 plots to it, and if I sell the 3 plots now, I'll probably be up like 100 grand about. Like the land itself is so if I just sold the land, I'll make 100 grand, and I get to keep the free part on top. And if I build the 7, it's probably gonna cost 1.8 million bucks, and it should gross about 575 a year, and I should net about 400 because the cost. I spend 1.8 million, I get 400 a year. So it's gonna be paid off in basically 5 years.
I want to ask you real quick. So like, do you find international money is probably where it's at right now, especially like living in Canada?
I think Jeremy says this really well. He said everybody's an investor until you have to cut a check. Yeah. Right? Like that's a really good point. I mean, that's tested and true. Everybody doesn't mind doing that if everybody else is doing that. But right now, because I'm doing a business, like I said, nobody else is doing this. There's not too many other guys that I know of that's running these events to take people to show them. And there's a few people that are doing international stuff, but they're a lot older than me generally. They're nobody as young that understands the game in today's world. They're just coming from money that they're developers in Toronto or they're developers in Vancouver, and they're building stuff in Mexico. In Colombia, because it's still dangerous, and because it's like politically not as stable in people's minds, right? I mean, they've got a new government now, but whatever, this is boring talk. But I will tell you that when you go there, when you see with your own eyes, and you people that are already invested in there, it's amazing. It's a beautiful place. But anyways, I mean, I think that just investing in this place 3 years from now, when this is all done, it's making the money it's going to make, hypothetically. And even if it doesn't, it makes half the money. It doesn't matter, man. I have a fucking mountain in a beautiful spot that nobody can take away from me. It's the highest, tallest, widest mountain. Looking at this rock, you can see it from everywhere in this area. It's the craziest thing. It's a mountain, man. So I never thought, if you looked at me and said, man, you own a mountain, you have all these things, you're making this much money, and you're doing amazing. I will say the next step for me, Mike, is that once this is created, I'm going to partner with other guys that have projects like this in other South American countries, and I want to create a combined brand.
More mountains?
A combined brand.
A combined brand. So you have a hotel very similar to this in wherever.
El Salvador,
in Belize.
Guatemala.
Wherever Nicaragua, it is that's fancy, that has a certain level of standard. Now we have 5 hotels. In the end, there's a room with 6 of us here. We all have 6 hotels, one central brand. That's sick. And then guess what? Now we have our own money. We share profits, and we so that's probably in the end. I could sell the project. I could get the project in different ways, but there's so many ways you can skin a cat, right? You know what I mean?
Well, one thing I want to say is like, I feel like you are very like alpha male in the sense of like you push, I feel like in society nowadays, the male image is being stomped on. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be too male.
Happy Women's Day, bro. Happy Women's Day. I mean,
no, but you know what I mean?
No, it's true though.
But happy Women's Day. Honestly, happy Women's Day. But anyways, like, I feel like that male, like, that alpha male is being stomped on, you know what I mean? And you portray that. And I know you have a son too. Yeah, you know what I mean? So how much of that like do you put onto him? Like being a man, providing for your family and just keep on pushing.
I think okay, that's a really good question. I think one behind every strong man is generally a stronger woman at some point in their life, right? Whether it be your mom, whether it be a girl, whether it be your wife, whatever it is, you have to have a woman behind you to, in some respect. You don't need them all your life, but you need them at certain points in your life to kind of help you, right? Like whether it be your ego or whatever. A really good question. I think that's a really good question in the sense of understanding that a super alpha male always loses. Here's the problem, is that most men are very egotistically driven, right? So it's all ego. So super alpha men, very, very hard-headed. I'm going to make this work even if it's a complete fucking failure, which is my partner in the restaurant business. He's very, very hard-headed, very alpha male, very stubborn, only thinks one way. I'm actually the complete opposite. I'm alpha male in the sense that I'm not alpha male, maybe it's just termed wrong, but I'm very driven in the sense that I understand that opportunity only exists today. Tomorrow, it's not given. So as long as I know that today exists for me, I have a good time, I can dance, I can drink Nestea, I can drink water, I can drink whatever the fuck I want to drink, right? 1942, whatever we want to drink, we can drink it. But I'm given the opportunity today to drink it. And because I know that that's the case, and I kind of keep going back to that and blah, blah, but the problem is that what we do is that we try to we usually generally find a mate or a girl or a guy, whatever your shtick is. And those generally don't always help you. Just like they always joke around that your family is not always your biggest supporter. They're your biggest helper sometimes, but they're not always biggest supporter because they care for you so much that they actually pull you back sometimes. They don't let you be free and be a wild child when you need to be a wild child. When you're young, you can be a wild child and nobody's going to judge you for it. You can do all kinds of crazy shit to get experiences, but when you get older, you can't be that person anymore. You have to be responsible. You can't say cuss words because that looks degrading or it doesn't make you as proper as possible. So it's really funny because when I go places, when I was in Panama last week, I went and met this British guy. He saw me on YouTube, whatever. He connected with me. He's like, hey man, I see you're in Panama. You want to connect? I own 6 hotels. So this guy's pretty well off, loaded, got 6 hotels. He's obviously means something.
That's sick, though.
Yeah, British guy, cool guy, because he likes cars. And I'm a huge car guy. So he grabbed some cars in England. He's in Panama now. He's a hotel. He came from England, whatever. We chilled for a bit. He's like, man, you want to roll with me? I'm going to go to this British embassy. They're having a big fucking luncheon. And I'm like, yeah, I'll roll with you. Yeah. I was rolling, dude, in a red Andrew in a Davies jersey, okay, soccer Davies jersey, Canadian.
Yes.
And it said Canada right here, all red. Canada T-shirt, not shirt, just a straight up T-shirt.
Dressed proper.
But then just black jeans like I'm wearing now, and some beat up shoes because I was walking, right? Yeah. And I'm rolling in here, and there's a maximum of 50 people. They have a cap of 50 people. There was Erwin, who's a British guy, and there was me. We rolled in here. Everybody's wearing suits. All the females were all wearing dresses and shit. And then this clown shows up like he just got out of the gym, okay? And I show up to this place, and in the end, I was hugging the ambassador of Jamaica to Panama and the ambassador to England to Panama. Both got pictures right there and then. Dude, and again, when you ask that question, man, how did you get in the position that you could take a picture with both ambassadors? I was just me. And I don't give a flying fuck. I was real, but I wasn't real in the sense like you got to be dope and gangster and shit. Yeah. I was real in the sense that like, so I grabbed, and the reason I did it is because I will put myself front and center to make sure that everybody knows me and I don't give a flying fuck what anybody thinks about me. That's very important. So I grabbed the microphone and they're talking about Cologne. Cologne's an area in Panama that used to be a big free trade area. But it's really been hit because now people are buying shit on the internet. They're not buying shit to Cologne. So Cologne's going down. So they're basically trying to pump up Cologne and talk about the free trade zone. So I grabbed the microphone and I said, well, how's your housing? Because I know a little bit of housing. So I said, you know, you obviously want to bring all these people into Cologne. What is the housing? What does the rental stock housing look like? And I said, based on that, is there enough water to supply? Because Panama has a shortage of water. I know that. So then I brought those 2 questions. I put them together. Nobody else asked the fucking questions because, of course, all the suits don't say shit. So I brought those questions up and people were like, oh, great question. And they're like, great question. And then I grabbed the mic again. I asked another fucking question. So I said, as a Canadian, I understand that, blah, 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 you know, because I'm wearing the Canada shirt. So I made myself known, regardless of what I look like. Most people want to hide when they're not up to par. But no, bro, you got to put yourself out even further. Let people judge you. Let them fucking judge you. That's what they're going to do. They're going to judge you. They're going to judge me on this podcast for talking 95% of the fucking time. But you know what? I was brought on here to talk. Not here to shut the fuck up. They've already heard what you have to say. They're here to hear me. Yeah. Right? And that's the reality of life. So I try to be very straightforward with what I have to say. I try to just be genuine about it because, man, like if you're here for a purpose, be that purpose.
I've never heard that because I've always heard like, do you ever feel imposter syndrome? Do you ever feel like you're not supposed to be in a room where you're like, fuck it? Like, maybe you might feel like that, but make sure you're known in that room.
Yeah. You know what I tell my son? You can tell me a second.
I was just gonna say real quick. It's just like it's crazy for you to like put yourself in that position where you're like you came in not wearing the right attire. You knew you're gonna be a target.
100%.
Conversation. They're gonna be like, why is he wearing this? And you're like, okay, if I'm gonna be a conversation, I'll be the one that actually knows what's going down.
Yeah. Or you're an offense. I'm an offense. If I'm an offense, there's not much you can do.
Well, only defense.
Yeah. If I'm on, and you know what? If you're on defense, guess what happens? Your ego gets targeted.
Yeah.
Right? Because now I'm retracting. If I'm pushing, you're not pushing me back. And if you're pushing me back, if you attempt to push me back, I can sense it based on your body language, just how you look at me. And that's going to create this back and forth. And if I'm on offense and you bully me back with offense, people around know it. And then who looks like the bad guy?
It's the attacker.
Exactly.
Right.
So I'm already pushing. The room is neutral, and I'm coming in. I'm pushing with a real question. I'm not fucking pushing because I'm like, yeah, I'm here, and I'm not an idiot, right? You want to come up with a proper question that's actually going to dig into people's minds and go deep. And when you have that, and you can only get this when you're versed in lots of different things in the world. Yeah. That's the problem. Yeah. Because at some point, someone's going to ask you a question that's out of your realm. But if you have enough information across the board, you can relate to something in what you do. So it's kind of important to kind of understand the grand scheme of things, but always learn, right? You know?
Do you think that's why you do so well is because you relate to a lot of people? Because like that's what, even too, just meeting you firsthand. Yeah. I felt like I had like an instant connection because we talked music. It's like, what do you do? Right? I feel like that's kind of like your edge. You build those relationships with people and then they kind of like, they give you the opportunity to let you talk.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just also, man. I think it's just life in general. Like it starts off from like being young. Listen to Tupac to understand like why the fuck are black people killing black people? Like stupid. This growing up in the early 2000s. That was a thing. It was a thing. Like, all Tupac's lyrics was like, yo, why is everybody killing each other? So understanding like, yeah, it's true, man. We're all here to get better. Like, we're all rowing the same direction. Like, why are we fighting? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to be like, man, like you have strengths about you that I don't know about, right? Like, I know I'm here today for me, but you have strengths on you that I don't know about. So like, let's talk about it, man. Let's try to figure out how we can get better together. And then you will remember that, because nobody does it, bro.
Nobody does it. Why do you think nobody does it? I feel like I have so many family members, so many friends who just stay stagnant. They don't fucking like they don't benefit off
insecure, bro.
You think it's ego? Going back to what you said, ego?
Because they're trying to get better for themselves. And they're like, yo, if I get better, then I'm better and I'm cool. But I'm like, dude, like, you only get better if you get better.
Yeah.
If you get better, I get better. Yeah. I'm not getting better by myself. I'm climbing up this hill solo, dude. No water. You're my fucking water. Like,
that's
we have
a teacher, though. You have teacher qualities.
Get up. Yeah, bro. You got, like, but it's, dude, like, I want to learn too, right? It's like a two-way street. I want to learn. But I will say, man, like, so quickly, just back to my whole like vision and how this all kind of relates together. So like the whole like multiple streams of income works this way. It's the best way to explain it, is that the roofing company works really well when I private lend money to somebody that is doing a flip, because that flip will require a roof. And if it doesn't require my roof or my people, I can advise you on where to pay and how much to spend. Now I become an advisor on your flip. Now, because I have a roofing company, again, when a roof leaks, I get called. When I get a roof leak to call, I show up. The place is a disaster. I have a rental company, as I mentioned, that can deal with all that. Yeah. But because I understand the roofing aspect of things, when I show up to a border, to Panama, for example, they say, what do you do for a living? Well, I know I'm talking to a guy, so I'd never say I'm a roofer. I don't tell them that I'm a flipper, or that I have rentals, or that I private lend, or that I have, like, obviously there's some angel investing businesses that I'm involved in. I've loaned money out, they're people in business. I don't say any of that shit. I tell them I'm a YouTuber. And they're like, oh, okay. What kind of stuff do you YouTube? And I'm like, oh, pull up your phone. And they pull up their phone, and I show them Accelerate. They're like, oh, wow, this is good. Can I get a selfie? Yeah. And actually, that happens quite a bit, but it's never happened, but it's happened once in Costa Rica. I showed up, and the guy recognized me when I pulled up, and he's like, you look familiar. He pulled up, he's like, YouTube? And he's like, let me get a selfie. So I got a selfie with the guy in Costa Rica at the border when my son was with me, and that was the first time ever happened to me. But that's what you want to bring. You want to bring a quality to somebody that somebody likes or wants, which is why what you're doing, you might make no money today, but somebody at some point is going to see you. And that's going to matter, right?
That's what's important, is the attention.
It's what you do today will actually play a part in your future. You just don't know it yet. You don't. Yeah. It's going to show up. We don't know. This is what I'm talking about today is going to show up. It's going to show up at some point. Somebody 3 years from now, let's say, for example, in a year, some girl's interested in me and she's like, well, what do you like? And she'll check my name out, because the world is a fucking dangerous place, to be honest. For females, it is, because guys are fucking weird sometimes, and it could be dangerous for guys if you're in Colombia, not in Canada. The joke's funny, but the reality is they might Google. Yeah, they want your kidneys, right? They want your kidneys. Yeah, the girls in Canada, they don't want our kidneys. Matter of fact, they don't even want us half the time.
They don't even want us.
But if they are interested, they could Google my ass, and then this podcast could come up, and they could watch the whole thing, because then they're gonna know what I'm like. Yeah. Right? Like, so he's part salesman-y. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's a busybody. Do you think he can settle down with me? Hard, right? Hard. But in 2 years, maybe I'm a different person. Yeah. That's the thing. So that's what's important for me, to document where I'm at right now in my life, which is why I came here today. So I could tell you my story of where I'm at right now. Because 1 year from now, I can watch this video again for my own personal selfishness and be like, okay, he was here today. Where is he at now? Better or worse? What was my mind thinking at the time? I liked my energy back then. Yeah. What was I thinking about?
When was the last time you did a podcast?
Wow. I did one with Ian, who's a gym guy. He's got a gym guy around the corner. Yeah. So I did with him. To be honest, I didn't want to do them until I had, I don't know. I felt like a lot of these things are a lot of work sometimes, right? You know what I mean? You're like mentally and I have to be in the right mindset, especially if I'm in the middle of something. And I was like in total travel zone. So I didn't want to come back and just talk about travel, right? You know what I mean? But now I'm actually getting some progress. I have my permits in my land. All my businesses are doing well, and I've always been doing okay. And I've been a year and a little bit kind of single now. So I'm like, I'm kind of just enjoying the single life, you know what I mean? Kind of doing that vibe. And I just want to kind of do a lot of like PR work, essentially, right? Yeah, for sure. And personal branding is PR, man. You got to go out there and sell yourself, right? You know what I mean? What you're doing. Nobody's going to come on the podcast and be like, well, man, I'm a loser, and I'm not doing anything. I'm just going on with my buddies tonight, going to smoke some weed and just chill out. And what are you doing tomorrow? Well, I'm doing the same thing, man. I'm just got buddies smoking weed. Yeah. So cool, good for you, but you can't get on a podcast. Nobody's fucking interested.
Nah, no one's interested. Unless you're Wiz Khalifa.
What? Yeah. Exactly. For a period of time. But you ask me 3 years from now, probably not going to be around. There'll be a new Wiz Khalifa.
Yeah.
I mean, Wiz obviously is a little bit older than that, but I would say there's always new, man. It's always new. It's always exciting. Same like properties. You asked me Costa Rica. Costa Rica was super hype, crazy. Now Costa Rica no more. You know, you got like, bro, even like, I'm going to ask anything. Even like the influencer blogger girls, they were hyped 3-4 years ago. Last year, a little bit before last year, guess what? OF, OnlyFans. Big deal. Now OnlyFans, who the fuck talks about? Nothing. So we're all in this hype game. It's hype, hype, hype. We're like hype. And then it's gone. So this could be hype. But could this last a year? Maybe, maybe not. So you have to always remember, man, whatever you get into, it's hype. You got to fucking run with it as fast as you can.
I feel like that's like the Drake method.
I was gonna
you got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, for sure. Even too, though, it goes back to what you were saying before with like this coaching thing. You're like, you were on top for so long. You did it. Yeah. But you're like, it's not my time right now. I see other guys who are doing better than 100%. Me. It's your time. Take it over. It's his time, and it's man. Like, I think that's kind of the idea. It's like, move with the water. Like, I forget what a UFC fighter said. He's like, don't ride the wave, be the flow. Yeah. Which is kind of the same idea. It's like,
retire when you're on top, baby.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, 100%. You got if you don't retire, man. So that's this whole like trying this international investing as a Canadian guy at my age with all these things on the go. There ain't nobody like me. No, especially taking guys to show them what the fuck it's like. Nobody's doing that. Yeah. People are going for boys trips. You're not learning shit on boys trips, man. I get it. So it's a for me, it's a hybrid of a boys trip, but it's also a thing to learn stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
it's that perfect gap that needs to be filled.
Man, for sure it is. And in Canada, I don't know how long this real estate, thing's gonna last. It's obviously on a downward convection.
What are your thoughts on Canadian real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the game's still the same. Nothing's really changed. Obviously, it's down 30% from its highs. Yeah. Will it go up? Will it go down? Anybody knows? Nobody knows. We're getting 1 million immigrants. So obviously, everybody's like, yeah, it's gonna be great. Like someone needs a place to live. But that's kind of we've always brought people in this country.
So there's no timeline on this. You don't think right now?
No, I think that if the numbers work, you can find deals in any economy in any environment because you're going to people that want to sell and just reflip, and there's always a way to make money to make a deal. But real estate is boring as fuck to me, man, in Canada. Yeah. So for me, it's like I'm out. I'm not that interested. I've already got my stuff. It's been running for like, god damn it, shit. I started when I was 21. So it's been like whatever, a long time in the making and going, and it just rolls, man. What's exciting to me is businesses, new shit, the future of international investing. YouTube's a sick game. Yeah. Because the metrics are money, you know what I mean? Like, as I said, we're making like $13K a month, every month in, month out, making
$13K a month from YouTube, man. That sounds like a fucking dream, huh?
I know.
Well, for us it is, because like we put so much, like, that's the crazy part, especially. Like, I want to ask you this about YouTube. Did you put a lot of money into it before you even started making money?
Study.
Yeah, study. Look at this beautiful place. I'm sure we'll have a camera view of it all.
Because like that's kind of, I think, what we're biting through right now. It's like, we're like, you're bleeding. That's the best way to put it.
100%.
You're bleeding until it fucking makes you money. Yes. It's gonna be a while. And even us too. I think that's the best team dynamic when you can come to like an agreement that we're gonna bleed together.
100%. You got to have everybody on board that you're gonna bleed, But it takes a while, man. And we still lose money in lots of spots. Like I have to pick up a car. I got this Maserati outside. The thing fucking sucks gas like crazy. Yeah. It's basically $100 to get to London, and then $100 to get back to Toronto. That's $200. So I got to make at least 20,000 views because I make basically, if you don't know the metrics,
to make the money back.
So every 10,000 views, I make $100. So at a that's why I get like this month. If you check social media, we're at 1.3 million. That's 13 grand. Yeah, pretty straightforward, easy metrics to understand, right? Yeah. So this thing is gonna cost me basically. I got to make 20,000 views before I turn a profit. Just on paying for the gas. Forget the lights in here, taxes, and everything else. Yeah. Right? So there's an example. So I got to make at least 35,000 views, hypothetically, on this video to 40,000 just to break even. Besides me making money, besides anything. It's a cost of doing business in YouTube. But the benefit for me is the exposure I get. Yeah. So that's the marketing. The market, the PR, right?
Yeah. That's what you were saying earlier about like having multiple business streams where it's like it goes from here to this to this to this to this, and that's where you make your real money.
So what's your favorite car?
Yeah.
The one right behind you, baby. Really? Oh shit! So that is the fastest car. Right here. That is the fastest car in the world. I mean, the Lucid is now, but that is the second fastest car. Was the fastest car for a long time.
Tesla Plaid, right?
Yeah, the Tesla Plaid.
Second fastest car in the world.
I was the second person in Canada to get one. The car is like a year and a half old now. It's got 11,000 kilometers on it. I track the shit out of it every second I can get for the most part. There's nothing that has whooped me in that car. I've beaten every single car I've ever. I mean, the thing does 9 point. I average between 9.3 to 9.6 on the quarter mile. The thing is a beast. It doesn't need a roll cage. Okay. It's super fast. It fits 4 people, right? Me plus 4 people, and yeah. Wow. But here's the problem. I get 2 cars a week, so the car never gets driven. I got 2 trucks that I own. I got this. I got a 911 turbo. And I get 2 cars per week from manufacturers. So how do I get the time to drive these things?
Okay, so 2 questions. How'd you build the connection to get those?
Yes.
And then also the other one is, What's the biggest lemon you've received?
Okay, so how do I get the contacts to get one is I started with friends. So I started reviewing friends' cars, or me and Ian started reviewing friends' cars. And then from that, we got some success with it. So I got an Audi RS Q5 and a Range Rover autobiography from two really good friends. And those reviews basically shot up. So they have like 1.7 million on the channel and the other one has like 1.6 million. So obviously that's basically 35 grand just in revenue off those two cars, which is amazing, right? So you want every video to do like that. So once you get some level of success like that, you take those videos, you give it to the manufacturer and say, hey, I've got some level of success. Can you give me a car to think? So they'll give you a piece of shit car. So you get like the most basic Kia, whatever. And then from those, you do a really good job with it. So again, what you guys are doing, all 5 of you guys, you take all this data and you spend all this time on this Kia. The Kia does well, or the Kia shits the bed, but you keep doing, you make no money, more money. And then suddenly starts getting some money because you get views because that RSQ5 is doing well and the autobiography is doing well. And then from then you take take a Kia and be like, hey, Chrysler, Kia gave me a car, Porsche, Chrysler gave me a car. And then you're like, boom. And then before you know it, 3 years in the making, you have every single brand on your team.
Wow.
So you broke into Ferrari then, I'm assuming?
No, because they don't have press cars, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I have buddies that have Ferraris and they'll give me cars and they'll be like, yeah, man, just review this car. But I will tell you that supercars make no money on the channel.
Okay.
Wow.
Trucks do. Yeah, trucks and certain everyday cars make money.
Yeah, it's like what people want to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
People want to
watch
review.
no one's want to watch a Ferrari.
This might be my lack of knowledge or doing research. Rivian, have you done that one yet?
There is only one guy that I've met out of Oakville that I'm supposed to get my hands on one. Yeah,
don't we know
Indian
him?
guy? Yeah.
Isn't the Indian guy you showed me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our buddy showed us. So he had he has a Rivian. So it's like
but I think it's old news for us now already. That's the problem. So we're in a new car channel. So if you don't pop new cars, like a Rivian's not new anymore, right?
Just like, okay.
So it's not going to do very well. Like
you gotta stay up to date.
You gotta get the newest car. So I just did this brand new electric Volvo. It's doing pretty well on the channel now. It's 3 out of 10 because if you know, YouTube is judged by we judge it, creators judge it out of 10. So it's like if you videos popping, it's 1 out of 10 in the last 10 videos, or it's 3 out of 10 in the last 10 videos, or 9 out of 10. So when we pop a new video out and does 3 out of 10 off the gate, we're like, we got a winner.
Yeah, that's
right.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge. So this Volvo we've done, it's all electric. It's called an EX90. I just did it in a cool studio in Toronto. So that should do well. But if you do something,
what are your thoughts on the electric movement nowadays? The electric vehicles?
Yeah, I think the infrastructure is terrible. I think that if you can't charge the car, it sucks. So you have to buy something as a second car. You plug it at home, you take it to work, come back, plug it at home. It's perfect. You can't get anything better because it costs absolutely nothing. But if you need something to go to Toronto and then come back and then drive to Windsor and then you're just using the car all the time, you don't have time to charge it. You don't have the time to charge it. The only way you can do that is by buying a Tesla because this thing charges. Like basically in 45 minutes, I have like a 90% charge and I can do almost 500 kilometers. So that's amazing. Like I drive like an idiot, so I get 300 kilometers, but it just said hello to me.
Yeah, she talked to us. I heard that.
Yeah. This thing's like fully automated. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, so Tesla has really good infrastructure. So if you can't charge your cell phone, it doesn't matter how good your cell phone is. You need to charge the cell phone. Yeah, that is the problem, right? Yeah, so if there's no charge, you get to airport, everybody has Android chargers, and you got an iPhone 14.
I remember when gas was shooting up like to $2, all the Tesla guys were laughing. All the Tesla guys were laughing.
Killing it.
Okay, lemon though. You haven't given us his lemon. What's the biggest lemon you've ever received?
I think the lemons for me.
Brand?
Yeah, so the lemons for me, not the car. It's the effort we put into a video, and it totally shits the bed. That is the problem. So we've spent we've gone a lot of press trips. So we will get flown out to California, wherever we get flown out to, obviously all over the U.S. And we get there and we spend a lot of time filming the car, like a lot of effort, time, passion goes in these videos, and we only get like 15 to 30,000 views, which is basically like $30 or whatever it is. No, whatever. Yeah, $300, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not when you're considering that I'm spending 2 to 3 days of my time to fly there, go there, and do that. But I'm building it for contacts. Number 1, 2, it's a really good experience, and 3, it's sick that I get to get flown by a manufacturer, right? So all that's pretty sick. So that's the problem. So the lemons are not the cars because cars are not lemons.
What was the car for the video?
Like a shitty car that I didn't really like. You mean, bro? Honestly, there's a car for everybody. Honestly, some people it's all related to sales, right? So like shitty cars are like mass-produced cars. So like a basic Honda Civic is boring as shit to me. Easy to film, RAV4, but they do well on the channel, right? Like a basic Kia, boring during a drive. But now everything's electric. So basically, I would say electric movement's very boring because it does the same thing. It's like on, off, on, off, on, off. There's no gas-powered cars, right? So this Maserati I'm driving is dope. Like it's sick.
It's all mechanical, right?
It's all. It sounds dope. It looks dope. It feels dope. Everything about it is engaging. Yeah. I want like an engaging kind of car. Whereas electric, like this Tesla, man, the Tesla cost me just over $200,000. I mean, this thing was 181 plus taxes, so it's like 200 and something. Yeah, it's a lot of money for a car. No, absolutely not. It's a waste of money. It's a huge waste of money. Yeah. Before this, I had an R8 Spider. It was a great car. That car cost me 220 plus tax. So that was like.
But you felt it everywhere you.
Yeah, I loved it.
Right?
I felt it. I looked good in it. It was stylish. It was dope. It looked sick. Like it's basically a poor man's Lambo if you ask any Lambo owner. Except most Lambo owners don't actually own new ones. They own 2015s and 16s. But whatever.
The beef.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
The real beef comes.
Well,
out.
I mean, the problem is we live in a world that's fake, right? So most guys that have Lambos don't actually own it, and if they do own it, it's borrowed money from their properties or it's leased. It's not really even theirs. They're usually renting it. There's some sort of weird hybrid
or loophole.
Ownership.
There's always a loophole.
It's not really their car.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
They didn't come out of their pocket and take money and actually buy it with their own money. They didn't do that. They did something different, which is what bothers me. I feel like I'm still old school that way, where you take your own money out of your own pocket and buy your own things, so that if the economy does take a shit kicking, you still own it.
Still mine again.
Right? Okay. It's just a mindset, right? So I'm old mindset in some way, and I'm new mindset in other ways. And I think mixing them both together is not a bad thing.
Very nuanced with it.
Well, yeah, like I think it's almost time to wrap up.
Yeah, bro, wrap it up. I can talk my fucking
honestly,
brains
this has
out.
been one of the best conversations ever.
Good,
Straight
bro.
up. And it's been how long? An hour and 40 minutes? Let's go.
Yeah,
this is
perfect.
the longest episode on NüVida history, but honestly, it was fucking well worth it. And
honestly,
it didn't feel like it.
You're so well versed in everything.
Thanks,
like, you're an expert in what you talk about, which is what I think made it so nice to talk
Is there anything, I guess, you want to promote for all of our audience right now, or any plugins or anything like that?
No, dude, you know what, man? No, the only thing I can say is that if anybody watches this and they actually make a slight difference to their lives in some way, or they picked up something new, I want them to comment below. That's it. Because I see that. If I see somebody comment below and leave me and just basically write how something they know or they picked up or what they've used in their life has made a difference to them, if they've done that is sick. Because man, if somebody listens to this and gets a piece of information that I've helped them in some way to propel them forward, we're winning. We are winning. We're winning so deep that for me, that's what it's about. I don't give a flying fuck if somebody sends you $5 for super thanks. I don't care. That means absolutely nothing. But if they take a piece of information that they've learned from something today, or contacts me about something that they're going to do in the future, and I can help them some way, I can't spend too much time, but if I can help them some way, that's what I do these things for, man. So really appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And you have a question, David? You want to come in?
Yo, come
load me up, baby. Load me up. Yo, sit in the middle, bro. Sit in the middle. You can sit on my lap too if you like. Go shoot.
Oh, Ricky went to the washroom, so I was
so just one last tidbit, really, for the guests there. It's just like, it's something that I'm sure a lot of people struggle with, but like when they're on their grind in that entrepreneurial spirit, how do you not beat yourself up when you're having those moments of downtime where you need those creative moments? Like, what's a kind of piece to get over those humps?
I think you just have to brainwash yourself that you are winning. Like, I think that it's not the fake it you're making, but I think you have to either brainwash yourselves with other people that believe it like you. I always tell these to the guys, especially the guys that take the time to invest money with me or time with me. I say it's not a matter of like if you're going to win. It's when you're going to win.
Timing.
Right? And I think that that's the important piece, because I've got into a business and many businesses in my life that I've spent so much time and effort, but it was just the wrong time to do it. And they failed. And then 3 years later, somebody does exactly the same thing I did and then wins. So it's like, how do you know what's going to win? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. So when somebody says, oh, for sure, Bitcoin's going to be 45,000 next year, I'm like, relax. If somebody says, man, the real estate market's a great investment, like it's always winning. The most typical Canadian thing for any donkey to say is invest in real estate. It's a great investment. And I'm like, yo, chill out, bro. Because if everybody thought that way, they're losing, So I think that person, when they're down, which happens to me as well, I'm not always winning all the time. Like, as I said, I've lost, like, in the last 12 months, I've lost 250 grand on bad deals. 250 grand, a lot of money. I could put 250 grand, had something winning. But I just keep going, bro. You just keep going. What are you going to cry about? Your mom ain't going to pick you up. Right? You know what I mean? Right? You know what I mean? We left the womb, man. This is it. Like, we got to grow up and be men,
your
right?
truth.
If you're worried about, not you, but if dudes are worried about like losing masculinity, not being as strong, worried about like not winning or being that strong guy, well, take the loss. Take the loss, man. Stand up firm. If you're willing to lose money on a business, something you do fails, if you think you lose a relationship that's going to kill you, no, man. No. You got to stand on your own 2 feet. So that's what keeps me kind of grounded, to know that, like, man, like, and I want everybody to win. Like, that's what that drives me. I want everybody to win. And the more you want people to win around you, the more you will win. That's the key.
Mentor mentality, right there.
Yeah, you will.
Mentor mentality.
You will lose, bro. You will lose. You're losing right now. You're not making any money. You are losing right now.
It's a grind. It is a grind.
Like,
you are lying. You're spending your Wednesday night here in a cold dungeon.
But we're listening to you, though. You told us your time is worth money. So are we really losing?
you're losing from a financial perspective, right? And generally when you're in your grind and you're entrepreneurial, you're thinking it's money related. You're not thinking you're saving the world here. You're thinking, I got to do this and make money at some point. I got Union Gas that's doubled in prices. I've got London Hydro if you pay hydro. I've got fucking
property tax.
I got the fucking under armpit deodorant that costs $10 at the fucking store. I need to pay my bills. So I get it. I totally get it. That's why for me, for a long time in my life, I had a full-time job. And that full-time job paid my bills. And then every other second outside of that, or while I was in it, I try to double down and have businesses. So that's a very important piece. I think if you're a solo on an island and you have all these bills coming that are basically taking part of your body away from you, just like a female can, right? They come in your life, you're all in love, they ask you all these questions, they basically corner you in the corner to basically do what they want you to do. To be honest, right? For being honest, that's
it works well sometimes.
It does. And sometimes you're like, cool, I'll do it all. But at some point you have to hold yourself together and you have to look at yourself in the mirror and do that, right? So I think to wrap this up, I think, man, it's just, you just got to be yourself. You got to take the hit, you got to take the losses. You are the only person that's going to stand in front of the mirror. It's all the cliche shit that you have always heard. Like, we all hear this information. We all hear it. Like, everything I've said today, somebody said it on the internet. But when you are fucking in the loneliest, fucking most shittiest part of your time, just remember, man, that time is there to help you serve for the times that you win, because you never want to go back there again. Right? You'll eat that shit up and you'll be like, man, this tastes so bad. I don't want to eat this again. I hated it. My fucking, like, whatever it is, man. Like, I couldn't, like, 'cause again, I got split up about a year and a half ago. And for like 2 months, I was like, man, like, I'm useless. I'm not doing anything with my life. And then I realized, holy fuck, I'm the asset. Like, I'm the one that brought this shit.
I'm the prize.
I'm the fucking winner. Like, I mean, she was great too. She was a winner herself, but I'm also a motherfucking winner. And then we start realizing, holy shit, like, look what I've accomplished. I killed it. Right? We don't always remember how great we have made it. No matter how small or how big, we are better today than we were 2 years ago. 100%. Yeah. All of us in this room, man. You know, even Brandon. With his audio engineering skills right there.
He's putting you on, boy.
He is killing it. You know what I mean? He's a silent killer. Right? He's going to take this podcast and put it all together and make us sexy.
Hey,
right?
This guy too, right here.
And editing, right? You know
this is the editor right here.
Yeah. So when you put this together, you can laugh about this part. You know what I mean? You might do boring podcasts, and you got to be honest with the guys. If the podcast is shit, or he's going on rambling too much, you got to cut his piece out.
Oh, Coca hears it all the time. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah, if he's
I never get cut though.
Because the problem is, man, the problem is that you guys work as a unit. And if it's dragged out and it's all funny and shit, are those the people you want to watch your stuff? Maybe not. Right? So sometimes when it's too much, there's too much like empty filter, just chop it out. It doesn't have to be a one take. Maybe this one could be a one take. But maybe not all your guests are one takers. Right. So you got to chop it up, and you got to be real with the guys. And that's how you got to grow. You know what I mean? Because if you're not winning, man, you're losing.
Right.
Fair,
yeah. So I guess, Cokes, you want to wrap this up?
Well, how about this? You know what? You're sitting there. Like, normally I close it out. I'll say peace, but you close it out for once.
Yeah, what do you think?
All right, everyone. So if you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have Mike's socials here up on the screen down in the description. And thank you all for watching.
And guess what? If you made it this far, follow Mike. But
yeah, if you made it this far, peace. Peace. If you made it this far, you know, here we are. Thank you, boys, for having me.